This is the Vaguely Nerdy Podcast, where every week this brother-sister duo gets together to discuss the box office, latest film and TV scoops, our latest movie or show review, and what we're getting into next. We are your hosts,
Cheryl
and Jay.
Hey, this week we watched Borderlands, and I am on deck to quiz Jay. Is your mind ready?
Yes.
All right, so Eli Roth, who directed Borderlands, main composer was Nathan Barr, who was originally attached to this project. He got replaced by a Steve Jablonski. Hopefully I'm saying that right, Steve. Steve is also a pretty notable composer. Can you guess what else he's composed on? But I'm going to give you some clues here because you got to shoot in the dark. It's a very popular franchise. It's not superhero related, and it's very loud.
Tron?
No, but you got the right first letter.
Twisters? No, it's not a franchise.
No.
Transformers?
Yes.
Oh.
So Steve he's actually got quite a long filmography. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It seems like he works with Michael Bay quite a bit. So Transformers. He's also did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Borderlands was his Red Notice, my favorite movie I love to hate. And Borderlands was his last film. So he replaced Nathan Barr, whose score had to be thrown out because the direction of the film changed drastically.
The score in the first Transformers is
notable,
recognizable, and notable. The rest of them, no. But the score in the first one is good.
I agree with you.
Especially the score when all the Transformers are crash landing on Earth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I would agree. But he's done first one, Revenge of the Fallen, Dark Side of the Moon, Age of Extinction. He's like, this is my thing.
Yeah, everybody remembers like Linkin Park and Imagine Dragons in those movies, but I don't think many people talk about the score of the film.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
right.
Okay, cool. Workers be working.
Yeah, he's pretty good. I don't know if Borderlands will be his shining star, but he did it.
That wasn't what was memorable about Borderlands.
No, and you'll hear about it in our review. Let's get on to our episode.
Welcome, fellow movie buffs. I'm Jay.
I'm Cheryl.
Listen in as we break down movie and TV shows, tell you what's in the plot, and hear if we think you should have watched it when you had the chance.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, so we have a pretty fun agenda. We are just finishing out some of the big panels at D23, so we'll be reporting on some of those announcements, a short visit to the trailer park, and we have a little bit of extra movie news that isn't D23 related, and then we'll be diving into the BUNCHA CRUNCH.
All right, so kicking off, D23 is still going on as we speak, but we are going to focus on the panel that was yesterday, which was big, maybe Marvel Studio news and some Disney news, but we'll mainly focus on Marvel stuff because this is the Vaguely Nerdy Podcast. And then they also just wrapped up the Marvel's animation panel, so Marvel Studios. So anything that's not live action, they talked about today, like 15 minutes ago. So we're going to go over that. Let's kick it off with the live action portion. Daredevil Born Again actually has a premiere date, which will be March 2025. Season 2 will also start production very soon. So I'm going to guess season 1 was really good. And we also got to see a little bit of the sneak. Somebody was doing the Lord's work, sneaked us a little footage in the panel, and we got to see a little bit of the trailer that they showed. So it looks good. Yeah. I did not watch the first Daredevil.
I don't think it matters.
I was going to say, I don't think you
Story-wise.
Right. I don't think this is it's not it's a reboot.
It's a reboot. Yeah.
Right. So it's not
with the same characters.
Yes, same characters.
But some of the continuity. But
I don't
think it's tied.
Right. It's not a sequel. So for those of us who have not seen the Netflix Daredevil, we do not need to go back and watch it. Although I might, just for kicks and giggles.
Just same actors, same characters.
Yep. Charlie Cox is back.
Clean slate.
Vincent D'Onofrio's back. I think all of the OGs are back.
Guy who plays the Punisher is going to be back. In it. Mm-hmm.
But it looks gritty, gory. It's going to be your adult version of Marvel television. So it's
what Daredevil should be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody's very upset that it wasn't going to be, and now it is. So we should all be happy.
Right.
All right, on to our next little bit of live action Ironheart, which still does not have a release date yet. We got some plot reveals, and somebody else sneaked us a little bit of teaser trailer footage. So it looks like this takes place, it seems like immediately after Wakanda Forever.
Okay.
And Riri is trying to rebuild her suit because if you remember, Shuri did not let her take the one from Wakanda home.
No.
So she's trying to get her resources together so she can build a new suit. She's flunking out of college, out of MIT, because she's trying to build this suit. It looks like she teams up with Antonio Ramos' character.
Anthony Ramos?
Yes. What's his character's name?
The Hood.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. She teams up with the Hood, who's getting money by nefarious purposes in order for her to build this suit. So it seems like it's a coming of age story almost for Riri Williams.
Yeah, I think the heist plot is an interesting take.
I think it's different.
Using Iron Man technology and using a magical hood that makes you invincible, it can transport you places to rob people is inspired, but okay. It's television, so they can't do anything too big. So they have to stay under the glass ceiling.
I don't know if I like the fact that she has to like steal to get like
all of that genius and all of that technology, and she's just a crook.
And I'm just gonna say it right out. I don't like because she's black. She's like a young black character.
It just doesn't make a lot of sense that anybody, who with her level of genius, got kicked out of MIT. It doesn't even make sense that Wakanda would even allow her to be in such dire straits. And she literally saved the world.
It seemed based on the leaked footage that we got that she's getting kicked out because she's not going to class. So she's so invested in getting this suit built that she's like not going to class. So it's not because she like lost her smartness. She just you can't not go to class.
Is it because she just regularly doesn't go to class?
Yeah, she's like not going.
I thought they were kicking her out because she left to go to Wakanda and didn't say anything.
Based on the granny footage, it looks like because she stopped going to class, and she's also taking resources from MIT's lab to build her suit. So she's doing a lot, and they like, ma'am, you can't do that. You can't do that in college. So yes, that's the premise of the show. We'll see. I think it's interesting they still haven't put a release date on this, but it's supposed to be next year. And Shuri also shows up, probably to tell her, ma'am, don't make me come down here and whip your butt because this ain't right. So We'll see. I'm glad that we still talking about Ironheart. How about that? Next we got, and this isn't really news. We didn't get to see the footage from Brave New World and Fantastic Four at Comic-Con because we was not in that panel, but somebody once again did the Lord's work. So we got to see what Red Hawk looks like, full-fledged, a frontal of Red Hawk with the top part with it looks like Harrison Ford, but it doesn't look like Harrison Ford.
It looks like regular Hulk.
You think it looks like Mark Ruffalo? It
looks like Mark Ruffalo.
Do you think so?
It literally does.
Oh, okay.
Other than some of the even Mark Ruffalo's Hulk is a little grayer.
Yeah, I guess he got a little gray hair. He got a little chest hair.
It looks the same to me in the clip. He might look different in the movie
and when he's moving around and talking or whatever the Hulk does.
It just looks screaming. It looks like they just did. They just took some
color replace.
Yeah, color replace, and
I'm okay with that.
Took some CGI that was like already put in like Age of Ultron
for the Hulk
and just recolored them.
We'll see. See. Harrison Ford did seem as though he did some motion capture for this, so I'm gonna assume they're gonna at least change his hair color. Yeah. Or change his hairstyle to make it look like Harrison Ford under there. We also got a better image from the Fantastic Four. One thing that we didn't see in that original clip was Herbie. So if you look at the end of the clip, and y'all gonna have to scour the internet for this because Disney at this point has probably ripped it all off. When we see Galactus show up in the windows, in the little corner, you see Herbie looking like, oh no, Galactus is in the window.
Herbie's doing some house cleaning while it looks like the team is away.
Right, exactly. So that was pretty cool. The audience is seeing real pumped for both of those clips.
I feel like that's going to be Natasha Lyonne's character.
Yeah, because they haven't, they haven't said who John Malkovich is, who she is, and then there's another guy who got cast.
It's going to be like the Fantastic Four's Claptrap.
Yeah, and I can already tell it's gonna be better than Claptrap.
Yeah,
but Next,
we know Herbie comes first.
Yeah, we're gonna go to the next part. So next that we got, so that was it for the live action. We didn't get any new movie announcements, which I didn't think we were expected to get. But some people could have swore X-Men was coming. I'm like, they're not doing that.
We also, I guess, got a full look at Danny Ramirez's Falcon and his Falcon suit.
We did.
That was cool.
That was cool. And then we also got, I guess, in the Brave New World clip, got a little bit more of the, I can't remember, Ruth's character, who's supposed to be like the super soldier, but not good super soldier in this. She looked a little nefarious.
She's a former Black Widow.
Yeah. And she acting like it. So hope she gets it at the end. We'll see. All right. So that wrapped up everything for live action. Now we're going to jump into what they announced for the animated portion of Marvel Studios. First up was Eyes of Wakanda. We got word that series will only be 4 episodes, so it's not going to be full feature length. It's given special presentation length at 4 episodes. It's going to cover the history of Wakanda over several time periods, which we already knew. So we'll get different versions, and I'm assuming different people playing T'Chaka and or T'Challa in this series. It's going to have 3D CGI animation style. So it looks, from the little picture I saw on Twitter, it looks like how the first episode of What If season 2 looked like, with like the Blade Runner with Nebula. It looks like it's gonna look like that, or
That's
maybe
good.
just What
That was
If.
a good episode.
Maybe just What If in general. It looks like it's more closer to What If in animation. The creator and director of Eyes of Wakanda. So Ryan Coogler is the producer for this show, but the creator is Todd Harris. He is not new to Marvel at all. He is the storyboard artist for other projects such as Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther 1 and 2, and both Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. So Todd got a big old promotion. Congratulations to Todd.
Good.
We are excited for your series, Eyes of Wakanda. Next up, What If season 3? We got the announcement that it will be the last season, which kind of makes me sad because I do like What If. It's a very what do you want to say? You don't have to watch it, but it's a fun watch, and it doesn't really like connect to other stuff. But it will be the last season for season 3. Some character announcements that they included was Moon Knight, Captain America, Sam, Captain America, Monica Rambeau, White Vision, and Ironheart. And I'm sure there's like 20 other people that they didn't announce, but those are previous characters that were not in the other seasons.
Yeah.
I don't think.
But are already in some form of live action. So I think they're just running out of live action people. Maybe it'll come back later.
I think we're still going to get
after the next set of Avengers movies, they'll do another What If or something.
Oh, you're probably right. And then we did get a little sneak peek at the end of season 2 for season 3 with Bucky. So we know Bucky is in this as well. So I like What If. It's a good time. If you haven't seen the other 2 seasons, we will highly recommend those. Next up, X-Men 97. So season 2, we got a little bit of information about that. They are going to be wearing the Grant Morrison suits for season 2. And Jay knows way more about that than I do. What's the significance there?
Black leather suits with cute bomber jackets that have the X-Men logo. Yeah, they're like bomber jackets. They're like fitted bomber jackets.
I thought they were just really fat, chunky.
That's why they look puffy. Yeah.
Okay. I'd take one of those though.
It's very interesting because the Grant Morrison X-Men roster only had like 5 X-Men. So he didn't have like a suit.
Which 5? Like the main 5?
Scott, Jean, Beast,
Storm.
Professor X. No, that's Emma Frost. You think it's Storm. It's Emma Frost.
What?
Yeah.
What?
What's more interesting is that the Grant Morrison comic that those suits are pulled from is he was the one who introduced the Wild Sentinel and wrote the Massacre of Genosha. That came from Grant Morrison's comic.
Oh, okay.
And in that comic book, that's where in the comic, just like in the cartoon, that's where they uncovered Emma Frost buried in rubble. And that was the first time she had learned about her diamond form and stuff like that. So that was all pulled from the Grant Morrison comic, but they threw it in the earlier season, I guess.
Interesting. Okay. They did, and I didn't have this in our notes, but they I guess the studio exec over Marvel Animation did say that they don't have an in-house animation team, so they will use for all of the shows, they will use any type of animation style they want. Like they will never stick to one. I just think that's pretty cool because 97 looks nothing like What If, which might not look totally like Eyes of Wakanda. So I think it's good that they are using
it makes
different
properties look different.
Yeah.
Like Cartoon Network has an in-house animation studio, so a lot of their shows look similar.
Yeah,
all of the Fox animated shows,
I would say, like Nick Jr.
Yeah, all of the Fox animated shows like American Dad, Family Guy, all of those have the same in-house animation. So it differentiates.
This is cool. This is cool. So for season 2, also for X-Men 97, we are going to get Warlock and Polaris will be joining the show. Now you said Polaris is Magneto's daughter.
His one biological child.
And Warlock is who?
Warlock is an alien.
Okay.
But alien mutant.
This is not Warlock from...
It's not Adam Warlock.
Thank you. Because I was literally about to make that connection.
No. Adam Warlock is also alien, but he's a sorcerer.
Oh, okay.
This Warlock is an alien mutant.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like copy, paste, change the background.
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. We don't have a premiere date for X-Men 97 season 2. Hopefully it's sometime next year. They don't make us wait because season 1 was the bomb.
Yeah.
You should watch our review on that because it's really good. All right. And we also got information about something I kind of forgot about, which was the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man series. This will feature a symbiote and Doctor Strange in this. They showed a little clip, but we didn't get to see it because didn't nobody record it for us. They also mentioned that you mentioned that this will focus on Norman Osborn and Peter's relationship versus Peter and Tony. Like in the movies.
Yeah, so instead of doing the whole Tony Stark is the one who recruits Spider-Man or Peter Parker and takes him under his wing, they're doing it with Norman Osborn instead.
Which I'm not mad. Different. We getting something different. I think the biggest reveal was that Coleman Domingo will be voicing Norman Osborn. So the man stayed busy working, and I ain't mad at it.
And Iron Man will still be in the show. He was listed in the character poster.
Okay.
So he is still going to be. I think there's going to be Doctor Strange, Iron Man, Daredevil. They all have like cameo appearances. In the show.
Spider-Man will be wearing the suit from the Future Foundation, which is from the Fantastic Four. So if that makes us wonder if the Fantastic Four is in this, because how else would we get it? But that's all we know. I don't think we have a date yet, and we don't have a episode length. And if we do, we missed it. So y'all let us know if you see it. Last up on the Marvel D23 slate, we had a little bit of information about Marvel Zombies. They announced this quite a while ago. It will also only be 4 episodes, so it's given special presentation, but it's going to be TVMA, which is interesting, but I guess that's because it's zombies. But like, how graphic we gonna get with zombies animation style is what I'm curious.
MA is Deadpool was an MA. That for context.
Was Echo was MA, right? I think so. I can't remember. It had to be
Echo MA. Why?
Well, because they was killing people. What you mean? They was shooting and
that's not MA though. MA is nudity.
Well, I think MA is for TV. Like TV's not rated R. It's rated MA.
So yeah, Echo was rated MA.
Yeah. Okay. I thought so.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I think TV doesn't do like PG-13, PG and R. TV does like GA, MA.
Gotcha.
Something like
that.
That
makes more sense then.
Okay.
So this is TVR, I guess. The hidden TVR.
Animated R for Marvel. We have a little bit of plot details. It looks like this is going to feature the Mandarin, Shang-Chi, working. I don't know if they're working together. The Mandarin is trying to get something from Shang-Chi. It also said that Katie and Jimmy Woo will be in this, which is interesting. So it looks like something different. I like where Marvel likes to play in their toolbox and pull out some different things. They also need some content for Disney Plus since they upping the price for it. So sure, why not? All these sound pretty fun. And I'm looking forward to, the more I see about Fantastic Four and Captain America, the more I get excited.
Yeah.
So looking forward to both of those next year. All right, let's jump into our movie and show news announcements.
So the first announcement, Zazie Beets, Patricia Arquette, and Tom Felton, who you'll know as Draco Malfoy from the Harry Potter series films, are going to star in a new movie called They Will Kill You. It is described as a horror black comedy film about a housekeeper who's Zazie Beets, who works for a cult, but she's unaware that they are a cult.
As always.
The cult is going to be run by Patricia Arquette. Perfect. I think that's a great choice.
Perfect fit.
Perfect casting, especially coming off of Severance.
Go watch that.
She'll be playing the cult leader. Tom Felton will be playing a cult member. Perfect casting for him. Malfoy, the Death Eaters were a cult. And it's described as a tonal mix of Ready or Not and The Raid. I think that's very interesting.
I don't know what The Raid is, but I do know what Ready or Not is.
The Raid is the foreign action film, and it's the film that inspired John Wick and the Chad Stahelski era of one-shot action sequences.
That is interesting, then.
Yeah, so it's
Ready or Not seems to fit.
Ready or Not seems to fit for the horror black comedy.
Right.
Because that character was not aware that she was marrying into a cult.
Right.
She had to fight her way out.
Right.
And
also a good movie.
The thing Ready or Not didn't have was action.
Right.
They marketed it like it was going to be like an action, but
yeah,
she wasn't like a...
She was just trying to fight her way to survive.
Yeah, she like clumsily fumbled her way to survival to the end, but she wasn't like... They marketed it like she was going to be Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and she wasn't.
No, I wouldn't say
maybe
that.
This is them trying to do that.
Okay.
Add that extra element to it of martial arts, I guess, and action. So, cool.
It sounds like a fun movie. We know very little outside of what Jay just said, but it sounds like a fun movie.
Yeah. The next tidbit we have is A Different World sequel series is officially in the works at Netflix. So
interesting.
This is going to be a new project that would center on the youngest daughter of Whitley and Dwayne Wayne, who are respectively played by Jasmine Guy and Kadeem Hardison, now a student at Hillman College. The original Different World was a spinoff from The Cosby Show, where Denise, who was played by Lisa Bonet, went off to Hillman College, for people who have not heard of The Different World.
Which I figured somebody hadn't, so I was like, let me add. People are like, what's A Different World? I'm like, oh no. This is interesting. I don't know if I have a lot of faith in Netflix doing this, but I might give it a spin.
I won't. I'm not interested at all. For me, A Different World ended when a year after I was born. I didn't even know English.
Yeah,
by the time A Different World ended.
way too young.
My only reference for A Different World is it's babysitting television. For me, that was the television. That was what was on TV when I was on Gloria's house during summer.
We about to get all type of hate comments.
It was a flurry of a Living Single. Then it was Cosby Show. Then it was A Different World. Then it was Court TV. Then it was The Storms.
That is why you have good taste in TV and movies. Sir.
A Different World was good. I'm not interested.
You're just too young for it.
Well, yeah, it's not that I'm too old for this.
Okay.
Because this is grownish. I am too old now for this.
You know what? It's nostalgia bait 1000%.
Yeah, but it's nobody who watched A Different World is going to watch this.
I think they'll tune into the first episode. And then after we realize it's grownish, we might be
because nobody this sounds like grownish. It's going to be grownish because grownish, they took one character from Blackish and took her to college. This is the same thing. And grownish did not attract the Blackish crowd. The Blackish crowd did not migrate over to grownish. They were not. No, grownish had its own audience. So
it did.
Maybe this will have its own audience, but I don't think the nostalgia factor is going to work here.
I don't think it's going to work long term. Now, they'll get me for the first episode. I'm curious of who else is cast in this. That'll be a big determinant factor.
Reason I'm not interested is because even though A Different World was great, it was perfect. Just like I don't need a Living Single reboot. Just like I don't need a Martin reboot. I don't need a reboot of any of the legendary black comedies.
We just need new black comedies.
Yeah.
How about that?
And Netflix has been doing that, and they've had a lot of actual like black syndicated comedies on Netflix now that are doing quite well. So.
If this was on Apple TV, I have more faith.
If this was on Apple TV, we wouldn't know about it. So
you're right, because they don't promote jack on that streaming service.
Next show announcement, we have another John Wick series coming. This is going to be called John Wick Under the High Table. So this will be executive produced by Keanu Reeves and Chad Stahelski, which is a good choice. They are the ones who made John Wick what it is today.
You're not wrong.
No matter what twists and turns John Wick has taken since. This will pick up directly after the ending of John Wick 4, which I think is also a great choice.
Yeah.
It's going to be a mix of the new and old characters. Interesting what the old characters are. Not that many survived. And it's going to thrust the John Wick franchise into a new age. I think that if you're going to do a spinoff, that's the right choice.
Now, did anybody watch The Continental?
Yeah, so my first note was, one, hopefully this does better than the Mel Gibson spinoff because
came and went.
Nobody saw it.
Came
and went, and it was barely advertised.
Like a thief in the night and didn't steal nothing.
Yeah, so I'm glad that they're doing a show about the High Table, and I'm glad they're doing a show that follows John Wick, because I think Ballerina is still a prequel of some sort. It still doesn't come after the end.
Between. Yep, yeah. It's in between two movies.
The Continental was a prequel.
Yep.
And so, yeah, the world of John Wick has always been good.
I like the world building,
but they pick poor stories to do the extra stuff
to do the series.
Me. Like,
you're right.
The prequel was a bad idea. I'm open to Ballerina. I need to see a trailer for it.
I need something. They keep talking about it. I'm like, well, where is it?
I'm open to Ballerina because it's like a femme fatale movie, like Long Kiss Goodnight.
Sure.
Like Atomic Blonde. Atomic Blonde was good. And David Leitch made Atomic Blonde.
Yeah, okay.
Who did The Fall Guy. And David Leitch worked close to Chastahowsky for stunt work.
Yes.
So possibly Ballerina might be good.
It might. I put it out. Jesus.
So there's potential there. So I'm glad they're doing a spinoff that takes place in the future. I'm tired of prequel spinoffs.
Stuff.
Everybody wants to do a prequel. I'm tired of Star Wars prequel spinoffs.
Listen, we about to go even further back in the Star Wars.
Good Lord.
Get ready. Buckle in. We back to the future, to the past.
Like, we're now reaching the point where the actors who played the characters in the original movies are dying off and you're still doing prequels. So please stop.
Gotta recast them younger.
if like one day we're going to be watching a Star Wars movie in the future, like 15 years from now, and it's still going to be set before A New Hope.
Before Luke
and all the actors are going to be like CGI, AI, Chat GPT figures, because every actor would have died already.
We should move.
I need to move out of the prequel
We
space.
should move forward. I'm glad
Please.
This is not in between something, because then you gotta be like, well, and then I gotta refresh of what happened in between those two. But to be honest, we don't.
It's easier to add stuff to the end of the timeline chart. It's hard to add stuff to wedge things in the middle of the timeline.
Because then you got to make sure you stick to the lore.
Yeah,
and they're like, well, y'all didn't messed up the timeline.
This is why people don't want to join franchises now. Because
right.
Linear storytelling is important.
You're not wrong. I don't think we need this series, but we'll see. We'll see.
Right.
Okay.
All right. So that is the end of our D23 coverage and our movie and show news announcements. We are going to dive into a short review of Batman Caped Crusader. We reviewed the first 3 episodes and gave our first impressions, and now we have finished the series, both of us. And we want to give some final thoughts on the show.
All right, so yes, as Jay said, he already finished the whole series like 2 episodes ago. I just finished it, and I will say it got better as the episodes went along.
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
Was like I said in our previous episode, the original review. Like, each character has personality, so they keep introducing more characters with personality. I don't think, was Harley Quinn in the first 3? I can't remember.
Harley Quinn was in episode 3, Kiss of the Catwoman.
Okay.
Which was one of your favorite episodes?
Yeah, so Catwoman was probably my favorite quote unquote villain in the whole show, maybe. But I liked Harley Quinn's turn. So Harley Quinn in this is not associated to Joker at all. And come to find out, spoilers, she
didn't need to be.
Because she already cuckoo for Cocoa Pops by herself. She's basically a psychiatrist who takes a wealthy, greedy businessman and locks them up, and then she tortures them to get money, and they donate the money. She donates the money to like charitable causes. So it's kind of like, I mean, I get
gross
it.
Misuse of power, though.
I get it, but that's not good, girl. You're not supposed to do that. So that I like how they changed up the characters a little bit to give you something different.
I like that specifically with Harley Quinn. They gave her own agency. They didn't stick her under the Joker. And I know a lot of people feel like that's where Harley Quinn shines. And no, that's where that specific character who is written by that specific person shines. The beauty of writing is that you can take a character and give them to a different writer, and they can do something different that's also good. So Harley Quinn doesn't have to die and live under Joker's foot.
Right. She had to be crazy for a man. She could just be crazy all by herself, which is what this series
agency
proved.
Is fun. People should try it.
People should have their own minds.
Yeah.
How about that? Who else did you like in this?
My favorite character was still be Barbara.
Okay, still Barbara.
But my favorite episode is outside of the first 3 they reviewed. My favorite episode is episode 7, The Moving Target. And that is the episode where you spend the whole episode under the impression that there has been a hitman hired to kill Jim Gordon.
Yes.
And they bring in like Onomatopoeia, who's like a Batman villain, and his hitmen come in to try to take him down, and they have like a Mexican standoff at like a underdeveloped Wayne community.
Very weird.
It's like outside
it was
the
like
city.
Pleasantville almost.
Yeah.
But empty.
And come to find out, the hit was put on Barbara. Because one of her defendants
Clients,
in her cases, she got the best deal possible, which happened to be a
decent, I guess,
decent,
better than what he would have got by himself.
A decent 20-year sentence for whatever crime he committed in Gotham. And he thought that she didn't work hard enough, so he from prison put a hit on her. And I thought that was interesting, and I love the way the episode ended.
Yeah, it was interesting because there's a guy that's with our team, basically Jim, Barbara, I can't think of who. Montoya. There's another detective that's with them trying to help them escape.
Yeah, Jim Corrigan.
Get them to another, location, keep them from the killers, and come to find out that man was in on it.
Yeah.
The whole time. And he was about to take Barbara out.
Yeah.
And then Jim was like, Pop. Well, no, Jim was not Pop. Jim should have been like Pop, but they kept him alive.
I like the continuity. The Jim Corrigan character appeared in several of the earlier episodes because he worked for the Gotham PD, and he was with the good guys, so he always seemed like one of the good cop background characters.
Yes.
Because he was always
decent
and working with Montoya. He saved Gordon in the beginning of the episode because we thought that the guy was there to kill Gordon on the courthouse stairs. So I like the fact that the twist was that it doesn't matter if you're a good cop or a bad cop. If there's a high enough bounty, it'll turn anybody.
Because he did it for money.
Right. And you have to watch your back against anybody.
He did it for money. Yeah. I mentioned this in the first review, but Harvey Dent, who I said I love to hate, by the end of it, I kind of felt bad for the poor guy. Because he turned into, surprise, surprise, Two-Face. So I guess they changed up how he turned into Two-Face a little bit. He gets acid thrown on him because he decides he doesn't want to be a crooked politician anymore. And Thorpe.
That's his original origin.
Oh,
they changed it in the Dark Knight movies. But yeah, that's his original origin.
Showing my lack of knowledge here. But yeah, so his turn into Two-Face was pretty cool. I like how Bruce kind of felt like he might have pushed Harvey too far, and he was kind of the reason why he eventually broke. I mean, he was already losing. I mean, he had acid thrown on his face. He lost his campaign, so he was on the breaking point.
And vanity was like his biggest asset to him.
Yes,
he held vanity as his biggest asset.
And I mean, he was a jerk.
Right.
At the core, he was a jerk. So, but I do like the fact that Bruce was, because of Alfred, kind of saying, hey, maybe you shouldn't be like pushing this man. Bruce was kind of like, oh, maybe I did kind of push him too far. And then he was trying to help him rein him in. But in the end, Two-Face got it, which I was kind of like, he did all that. Barbara tried to save this man, and he ended up getting one in the back.
They did a good job of making you feel bad for him, especially when he was really trying to fight his alter ego from coming out.
He was tripping.
You felt bad for him because you felt like he was like trapped in his own body a little bit. And then when he just couldn't understand why Barbara would risk her life for him, and even though she despised him greatly, she loved justice more.
Yeah,
so,
I
think she was tired of losing people at that point.
Barbara had been through it, right? Because she lost Harley Quinn,
because she had just K-worded herself.
Lost Harley Quinn because that was her friend, and then she finds out as we find out that she's cuckoo.
Right.
So that was good. And then I would say my favorite episode, it's hard to pick. I will say one of my favorite episodes / scenes was the scene with the ghost. I don't remember who the ghost was.
Oh, that was the Headless Horseman guy. That was Night Ride episode 6.
And I mostly actually like that because of the guy that was in that. The black guy who was kind of like the witch doctor.
Midnight.
Mm-hmm. Midnight was cool. And I like Midnight because Midnight was like, what you want, Batman? And the Batman was like, this is what I need. He was like, all right, here you go. But make sure that I get my pay when you done. And the pay was like the dude's soul. And I was like, what is he going to do with that? He's like, you don't want to know. Batman was like, I don't think I do. Peace.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. I like Midnight for sure.
Yeah. Midnight is an alter ego named Papa Midnight. He is a sorcerer and specialist in voodoo in the DC universe.
Okay.
And
he's been in other stuff, right?
He's been in he's a DC character, so you may have seen him in other DC animated stuff. I don't know if he's ever been in anything live action.
Okay.
And he's kind of immortal because he's been alive for like a couple hundred years.
It seemed like it because the ghost knew him, and that ghost was old as dirt.
I mean, anybody who does magic pretty much learns immortality early, or whatever spell is necessary to accomplish that.
Stick around for a long time.
Like Agatha.
Right. So overall, series is very good. Definitely give it a watch. It's already getting to season 2. I don't think we have a date or anything. I don't even know if they started working on it. But Prime did buy season 2 for this, so we are getting it. So it's worth to catch up now, so you're ready when the next one come out. Yeah.
So the finale ended with basically we get a end credit scene of Joker, who has been perfecting his Joker toxin.
Yeah.
Which basically makes you laugh until you die.
It looked real tragic.
It looks like he did it on a couple of victims, and he is preparing to, either he's already in Gotham or he is preparing to make a name for himself in Gotham. Because this is early Batman, so I don't think he knows who Joker is yet.
No, and I was reading some reviews and opinions and whatnot about a show, and somebody pointed out that Joker didn't laugh. Like, this Joker is he's got a very deep voice. And somebody's like, what if this Joker in this version is not like our typical, smile on his face lunatic? He's just, a regular chill dude with a deep voice.
There's been different Jokers. There's the Mark Hamill Joker. There's the Jared Leto Joker, which is critically acclaimed.
By Jared Leto and Jared Leto only.
There's the Jack Nicholson Joker, who's like a gangster or something.
The campy Joker.
So there's different Jokers. They can stretch the Joker. And then whatever Barry Keoghan's supposed to be in Batman, the Batman.
The need a plastic surgeon Joker.
He's the laughy Joker. So there you go.
I don't know if I like that Joker. But yeah, so we'll see. I have faith in this next season based on what we saw for this first one.
All right, so do you want to give a rating for Batman Cape Crusader?
Oh, I'll give it 5 Nicole Kidmans.
I would give it 5 Nicole Kidmans as well. I enjoyed it. I clearly couldn't stop watching it because I pretty much finished it in 2 days and kept checking on you guys to see when you guys were done. He was like,
is you done yet? I was like, no.
I would give it 5 Nicole Kidmans. Absolutely excited for the second one. Glad animation is being taken seriously again by the mainstream. X-Men 97, Invincible.
Yep.
I don't know about Creature Commandos. We'll see. But
we don't know. It's not out.
Batman Cape Crusader also looks good. I mean, also was great. Yeah. So excited.
Arcane was good. I need to catch up. I need to catch up on it.
I forgot about Arcane because it's been 10 years since the first season ended. So.
And then we only get one more, then it's done. But that's a different topic.
Probably because they realized it takes 2 years per season. So they were like, this isn't lucrative. And I'm surprised they lasted that long before Netflix pulled the plug.
It's Netflix.
Netflix sleeps with their finger on the trigger.
I'm blaming Netflix for all of downfalls of everything.
Yeah. So that is the end of our quick recap for Batman Cape Crusader. Go check that out on Amazon Prime. Let's roll into the trailer park.
Toot. Beep.
Okay, so the first trailer we have on the list is for The Skeleton Crew. This is a live-action Disney Plus series. This is a Star Wars show that premieres on December 3rd on Disney Plus. It stars Jula and a bunch of children.
I was going to say, if you name these kids, you are good because I don't recognize any of these little
Jula and some children.
Beautiful children.
And it looks fun. It basically looks like a bunch of kids who are in some type of galactic training academy.
Yes.
Run across a derelict spaceship, accidentally start it,
push a button, and
blast off into a different planet,
and galaxy far away.
4 of them are stranded, and it looks like Jula is going to be responsible for making sure they don't die in space.
Yes, that is a very good description of the trailer.
It's been described by production as the Goonies version, a Goonies story told in a Star Wars universe. It looks like it.
It does. I will say it does look like they're trying to get the younger crowd.
Yeah, because these are kids. Like, these are children.
These third grade.
These are babies.
Third grade at most. Yeah. These kids are not making their own breakfast yet, probably.
No. Cereal at best.
Right. Just a little bit of milk, not all the milk. It looks cute. I don't know if I am the target audience for this. I do enjoy me some Jude Law. We'll see. I do think they are trying to rein in a younger crowd for this.
I'll probably look at the first episode.
Okay.
I do like Jude Law. I think the Goonies angle is interesting.
Yeah.
And one thing about Star Wars, visual effects look great.
Oh, yeah. It looks good.
Set design looks great.
Perfect.
Disney does not skimp on anything Star Wars, at least visually.
When they jump to whatever galaxy, like when they get lost and push the button and jump, I was like, oh, this looks nice.
You can say whatever you want about a Disney Plus show, but one thing you will never do is call it ugly.
Listen,
movie, show, however divisive you are about the writing and the characters,
right.
everything is beautiful.
So
I'm at least gonna look at it.
Right. I'm at least gonna put it on the screen for some background noise, just to be like, this looks nice.
Next stop on the trailer park is for Mufasa, the Lion King. This is going to premiere. Well, not premiere. This is going to release in theaters December 20th, 2024. Okay. It is going to be directed by Barry Jenkins.
Hey.
It is going to star Aaron Pierre, who will be playing a younger version of Mufasa, the titular Lion King. Kelvin Harrison as Taka, who was mostly known as Scar in the Lion King universe. It is going to have plenty of returning characters from the original Lion King not live action. It's very.
What do you call it? What do we call it?
It's very weird to address the first
It's
live.
not
It's not live action.
You know what? They also don't consider it animated.
No, because it's not animated either.
Because when they talk about like the most, because Inside Out 2 right now is considered the highest animated movie, but
fully CGI adaptation that doesn't roll off the tongue. But that's the best way to describe it.
I was like, but it's not Inside Out. It's Lion King.
Characters from the original CGI rendering of the animated movie Lion King.
Let's just call it the 2019 version.
It's very complicated.
Just call it that.
Returning John Connie, Seth Rogen, Billy Eichner, Rafiki Puma Timon. Donald Glover will be returning as Simba because I think the movie is going to be told from the perspective of Rafiki telling
their kid,
Simba's child,
yes,
the story of
Kiera,
Mufasa,
I think,
which will be played by Blue Ivy Carter.
Hey,
Mads Mikkelsen will be joining as titular villain Kyros.
He sounds like Mad, and I like Mad's voice.
Looks like he's going to be part of a herd or tribe of white lions.
Yes.
Tandaway Newton will be playing Eshi, who will be playing Taka's mother, and Beyonce will also be returning as Nala.
I just want Black is King Part 2, Beyonce. If you're listening, thank you.
Yeah.
So, it looks good.
Looks good.
The lions are emoting. We got facial expressions, so people should be happy about that.
The only thing that this trailer made me think of is another twin film. This is the Lion King's version of Transformers 1.
Transformers 1?
Yeah. This is going to be the story about how Optimus and Megatron were originally best friends, and something horrible and tragic is going to happen in the end that turns Megatron into a murderous, genocidal piece of crap.
You said Transformers 1, and my mind went to the first Transformers.
No,
I was like, what this guy?
I think it's very interesting that both movies are advertising at the same time, as this typically happens with a lot of twin films. They usually come out around the same times and have the exact same story beats.
You're right. You're right, because that is exactly what Transformers 1
The trailer was great.
It looks good.
But watching it devastated me because the whole trailer was a happy, feel-good time, and something awful is going to happen.
It has to.
And probably it's going to be caused by Mufasa. It's going to be the Snake Eyes effect, where we're going to go the whole movie and find out that Scar was probably right. Because what could have possibly happened?
We got a villain,
that they were this. What made me a little weary was the fact that Scar was the prince and Mufasa was the orphan. And then we know that the story flipped. So what did you do, Mufasa?
That's everybody's question how did this happen?
It's looking like Snake Eyes was betrayed by an outsider and had to leave his clan. In the Snake Eyes movie.
The fact that we don't know, and this is a new story, I think we're gonna draw everybody in. I think this is getting all the kids, because this and Sonic 3 come out the same day. So people are like, oh, Sonic 3 gonna blow this out the water and nobody wants to see Mufasa. I'm like, y'all underestimate Lion King.
Underestimate Disney.
Yeah,
Once again, Disney is still
the
top earning studio in the world.
Let me tell you something.
Every year.
The first two Sonics have not, if you combine the box office, have not made what Lion King 2019 did.
No.
So we okay. And listen, if Beyonce started promoting this, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
It's a wrap. I am very excited about this. It looks good. It looks different. We get a different storyline. We have learned from the first Lion King. So I'm all in.
Yeah. And a lot of people have said that they felt like here we go. CGI adaptation of The Lion King was a waste because they told the exact same story again. So this is now the different story. So there you go.
Like I told you, if the songs is good, it's a wrap.
Next stop on the trailer park, we have Snow White. This is going to theaters on March 21 of 2025. It's going to star Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler.
I think it's funny you said Gal first.
I mean, I guess she's the more famous one.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a competition with this cast list, but this is going to star Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler. Gal Gadot, known for being Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And Rachel Zegler, we don't have a long history of films with her, but she was in Hunger Games, and we saw that. So.
She, West Side Story was her Hollywood, I think her first Hollywood movie.
So that's good for her, though.
I didn't either.
It didn't make any money. I don't think anybody saw it, but that's
she
good.
actually got a Golden Globe for that, I think.
A Golden Globe for West Side Story?
Yeah, like best musical actress.
That's good.
Interesting. Right. And you're right, but it tanked at the box office.
It like completely fell off the earth as soon as it came out.
It did.
Was it one of those straight to HBO Max movies?
I don't think so.
I remember it being promoted during lockdown.
I don't think nobody. Well, it's probably because of COVID. But yeah.
No, nobody wanted to go see that. So.
They didn't.
Hopefully more people go to see Snow White. I don't think so, though, based on the trailer. So it was more like a teaser. We got some shots of the Seven Dwarfs in the distance.
Yeah, no close-ups.
Some close-ups of Snow White talking to animals and dancing with animals.
We got a little whistle while you twerk. Oh, work. Sorry.
Yep.
Sorry.
And we got some of Gal Gadot's Evil Queen.
Yeah, and I'm middling on all of it.
My only note for the trailer was, Kal-El, no. Because, listen, Gal Gadot is not good at line delivery. She's not good at line delivery. Like, her line delivery is bad.
You know what it reminds me of in Wonder Woman? She was like, Aries.
Yeah.
Aries. I'm like, girl, shut up.
Yeah. Her line delivery is just like, I don't know.
Weird.
It's
not dry. It's
just
weird.
Comes off monotone sometimes. She had that really good scene in Wonder Woman 1984 when she's saying goodbye to Chris Pine for the last time. Her scenes with Chris Pine were good.
So Chris Pine did all the work.
All of her scenes. Well, she seems to have chemistry acting against a different actor, but in the scenes in the trailer by herself where she's monologuing, it's rough.
I'm sorry, but it's not giving me enough Evil Queen. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I'm not sure we're going to see much more of Gal Gadot after this because ever since 1984, we haven't seen anything.
And this has just been
of her
development.
We reviewed her Netflix film. That also was not very good. She was not particularly good in that either.
Nope, she wasn't good in Red Notice.
And this has been in production for years.
Right.
So this wasn't even like the last thing she worked on.
Correct.
So
you're correct.
I don't know if we're going to see more of Gal Gadot after this.
I compared this to when we first heard Melissa McCartney in The Little Mermaid, and it was like, oh, she sounds good. She playing a part. She giving Ursula.
Yeah.
And this was just kind of like,
to play one. I don't care about the Disney princesses in particular, but I've seen all of the animated movies,
of course,
every single one.
Yeah,
I've never seen one of the live action princess movies all the way through.
You saw The Little Mermaid. Oh,
I guess that counts as a princess one. So yes, that was the only one I saw all the way through.
I mean, I actually haven't. No, I haven't seen any of the other ones either. You haven't seen Aladdin?
No. The Kristen Stewart ones don't technically count.
Which one are those?
The Chris Hemsworth, Kristen Stewart
ones?
No,
those are different.
Those don't technically count.
So if you haven't seen Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, there was a Cinderella one, wasn't it?
With Hermione? Nope. I didn't see that one, but I remember that one having controversy for the CGI waist.
Oh, did it? Okay.
No, I did not see Hermione in Beauty and the Beast.
I didn't
care for Beauty and the Beast.
Nope.
I saw Little Mermaid. That was it. I'll see Anastasia. They should make that one.
They're not.
But maybe.
And I feel bad because Rachel about to get all the smoke just like they gave
they've been dragging her way before this trailer came out.
Stupid. Like, she's not a bad person. She can sing, and I think she's a pretty decent actress.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this movie does not look very entertaining to me.
I enjoy Rachel Zegler's character a lot in The Hunger Games.
She was cool.
Yeah, so she was a good actress in that. And I liked her music in The Hunger Games.
When she
I did not mind her singing parts.
It's cool.
So she'll probably be the best thing in this movie. And she'll probably be good in this movie. I don't think Gal Gadot will be. And I don't think the movie will be.
She said it's a lot of new songs in this. I was like, no, just stick to the originals, please. Because
people don't like Snow White because of things that weren't in it.
Thank you. And I think Little Mermaid had like 2 songs, and we was tearing that rap song apart. So
on Uncharted Waters is still being parodied to this day. So
it's fine. We don't need the new songs. Yeah, we're fine. We're making an old movie, so we don't need nothing new.
Shout out to everybody involved. Next stop on the trailer park is going to be, for a fun one, this is Agatha All Along. This is the second trailer. This was shown at D23 as well. I believe Catherine Hahn and the Aubrey Plaza and the whole cast came out on stage.
They was singing.
So there's going to be at least a scene of music in this.
That's fine.
Basically, the trailer shows Agatha collecting the witches.
Ragtag team of witches.
She's forming a coven to travel the witches' world together so she can regain the power that Wanda stole from her at the end of WandaVision.
Yep.
What I like about the trailer is that Agatha using the witches just to get what she wants on the witches' road and using them as like bodies along the way.
That's what it seemed like.
Isn't a surprise because that's in character for her. I'm just glad that they're like leaning into it.
Yes, I'm glad we're not getting a cozy, warm, and fuzzy Agatha. We're getting our typical ruthless, scheming behind the scenes Agatha, who just needs to get to the end of this road to get her stuff back.
She's working under the guise of sisterhood, but she'll eat you alive to get her way.
And it seems like there's one scene in the trailer where she turns around and says, like, first one to the end
is a good person.
Is a good person.
She's clearly just finished doing something horrible.
Right. And it seems like maybe at that point everybody's going to turn on her. I don't know. But it looks good. It's giving creepy. It's giving little horror vibes. Aubrey Plaza looks like she's going to be a standout in this based on a little extra couple seconds we got of her. But I'm excited. Yeah,
so the show looks like it's going, and this is some via voiceover in the trailer. So according to Agatha, it seems like most of the show is going to be spent on the Witch's Road as they go through several trials that will test their knowledge of the craft so that they can all get their magic. Because it doesn't seem like any of them have magic. Because one of the witches says, how are we supposed to survive on the Witch's Road with no magic? So I don't think any of them have.
So they're all maybe trying to get
a lot of magic
back
at least.
Because the road, at the end of the road, you get what you want.
Right. But along the way, you're tested. So I think it's interesting. Maybe each episode is going to be a different trial. I like the concept of trials. It looks like they do some Wicked Easter eggs because she's green and she has on the Wicked Witch of the West costume and hat and long nose. I think that's interesting. Some musical tidbits,
little musical numbers, which I'm not mad at. I'm fine.
It's musical and it looks like it's going to be extremely campy. I've always loved movies and shows about a gang of witches getting together ever since The Craft came out.
You're right. This is gonna be hitting. This is gonna hit nostalgia bait. This is hitting Halloween bait.
There's so much to do.
Horror bait.
They can
Wanda bait.
The Craft. They have WandaVision. They have the
Salem
Wizard of Oz.
Witches.
Charmed. There's a lot of stuff that they can spoof off of, and it looks like they're like taking pieces from to incorporate. So that looks fun.
It looks good. It looks good. And we only got about a month or so for that one.
Yeah. Okay, so that is the last stop at the trailer park. Let's dive into this bunch crunch.
We only got 2 pieces this week. The first one is Jenna Ortega is joining Glen Powell, everybody's new favorite, in a secret project from J.J. Abrams. Now, J.J. Abrams is known for Cloverfield, Star Trek, Star Wars movies, so he ain't new to this. He true to this.
And I think he scammed WB out of some money. Wasn't he the one that had like that first look deal with WB for like 4 years? Abrams. Didn't do a single thing with it, got the payout, and then they fired him. Because he wasn't writing.
WB deserves it. No, I'm just playing. Well, I'm actually not playing. So everybody's saying this is going to be some disaster movie that they are going to appear in. Big
explosions. Did J.J. Abrams do Super 8?
I don't know. I don't know if this pairing works, but we're assuming.
Yep, he did.
Okay. I'm assuming that Jenna Ortega and Glen Powell are going to be like a couple, but that might not be true.
Oh, they're so far apart in age.
That's why I said I don't know if this pairing works. So hopefully it's not that, because I don't see that working.
Yeah, I don't see that working either.
I barely saw it working with Daisy Edgar Jones, but that is a different movie, a different review that you can watch on our show right now. We'll see. It definitely is giving like big scale disaster of some sort.
So hopefully he's playing like her dad.
He ain't.
They're 15 years apart.
Okay. I mean, they could, but ugh.
Right. I mean, because usually they have Jenna Ortega play younger.
Brother, sister, possible. They look nothing alike.
They don't, but
adopted.
That's fine.
Adopted brother. Co-workers.
They usually have Jenna Ortega play much younger in everything that
they do, because she's playing a high schooler in Beetlejuice, and she's like 20.
Yeah, she's like a private schooler in Beetlejuice. I think in Scream, she's like a college freshman, but she's like 21 in real life.
And she looks super young in Pearl.
Right. And she's short, so that's why they do that to her. But
interesting. We'll see what it turns out to be.
Hopefully they're not like romantic interests.
Yeah, when I first saw this, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, JJ. I don't know how I feel about this.
Cool.
Something that I'm a little more excited about. Quinta Brunson and Stephanie Hsu. Is that how you say her last name? Okay. She's from Everything All at Once, Joyride, and she's also going to do voice work in Wild Robot, are going to star in a comedy Par for the Course for Universal. Now, we don't have a lot of script or plot details about this, but it's going to be a comedy. Quinta is co-writing the script with the Abbott Elementary's Justin Tan, and he is going to be the director for this, and this will be his feature debut. I'm down for anything from anybody from Abbott Elementary.
Yeah. And it sounds fun. I don't typically see films. I can't remember the last time I saw a comedy.
We need more just straight up comedies, not comedy dramas, not comedy romance.
Like the last closest thing to comedy I saw, the last thing would be like Bad Boys.
Right, which was pretty funny.
Which is action comedy.
Exactly. Right. Can we just get a straight up 100% this is a comedy? And you can add some feel good stuff in there, but I don't want to be too sad, if you know what I mean.
I think the last
comedy
full comedy I saw in theaters.
Oh, in theaters?
Game Night?
Is that a comedy? Yeah, that's a comedy.
Yeah, Game Night was funny.
That's a comedy. That's not like action.
Oh, no, he died.
Yeah. How old? That's old, though.
That's super old.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you, Quinta, for bringing us a comedy. We appreciate you for that.
Good. All right. So that is the last scoop of BUNCHA CRUNCH. We are going to take a short break and dive into our movie review of the week, which is Borderlands.
Borderlands. Pew, pew. This week, we got a chance to watch Borderlands, which is a video game adaptation of the video game called Borderlands. Yes. It was released August 9th, 2024, directed by Eli Roth for the most part. This movie was also semi-directed by Tim Miller in Roth's absence. We can get to the back scenes drama about this movie later. And Tim Miller also directed the first Deadpool. So, yeah, it's interesting considering this movie.
Right.
Eli Roth also directed Thanksgiving, Death Wish, and Hostel 1 and 2. I have not seen any of those movies because, well, Thanksgiving is a slasher, which didn't seem too scary.
No.
But you said
Thanksgiving was just poorly timed.
You said he's like a torture horror guy. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah, he does like the torture horror films.
Yeah, because I was reading his filmography and I was like, I ain't seen any of this.
Hostel, Cabin Fever, lots of blood, gore, and like flesh and like torture stuff.
It's his specialty. Choice for director of this movie, but we'll get into next the cast and characters of said Borderlands movie. It stars Cate Blanchett as Lilith, which is the main character from the video games. Mm-hmm. Kevin Hart plays Roland. Jack Black does the voice for Claptrap, who is a robot in this. Edgar Ramirez plays Atlas. Ariana Greenblatt plays Tiny Tina. Florin, I'm gonna mess your last name up. Montenegro plays Krieg. And Gina Gershon plays Mad Moxie. Jamie Lee Curtis plays Patricia Tanis. And Haley Bennett plays Lilith's mom. And we're going to stop there because I think that's... who else? Oh, Gianna Gavinkar plays Commander Knox. She was in this pretty significantly.
Janina Gavinkar.
Janina, yep. Okay. So that is the cast that we have for this movie. Runtime is 1 hour and 42 minutes. So it's short, sweet, and to the point for the most part. Budget is estimated to be around 110 to 120 million, which is, sizable for this type of movie, I would say. Box office so far, $4 whole million domestically, opening day.
It was poorly advertised.
Which is not...
It's funny because we went to San Diego Comic-Con. We went to the Borderlands offsite.
Which was pretty cool.
Which was pretty cool.
They had no food. The food ran out, but the drinks was pretty stiff.
But we did mention that it was strange that they had an offsite for it at Comic-Con, even though they barely have made an effort to advertise this at all.
The cast
The movie was made years and years ago.
Yes,
like
you're
this
right.
was one of the pre-COVID films, pre-lockdown films.
It was done before the strikes.
And-
it was done before the strikes, and I think they started shooting before like COVID was.
So it was poorly advertised, and then now that it's out, people know that it's out. So nobody knew it was coming out originally. Now that it's out, people hear that it's out and it's terrible. So that's not good. Word of mouth, poor word of mouth being your main source of advertising isn't good. No.
Yeah, I mean they at least should have had a panel of some sort at Comic-Con if you knew your movie was coming out.
No, I feel like the offsite at Comic-Con was the last thing they planned before they completely quit promotion.
But the cast wasn't. I think the cast had a signing. I don't know.
At Comic-Con?
I think you had to like get like an exclusive sign up to get like a signing, but they didn't do like a traditional panel. You know, like Penguin had a panel,
right?
Because the show's coming out. So I figured, but no.
Yeah, it making low.
4
box
million
office opening weekend is
4 million is bad, y'all. Bad, like
that's not a surprise for this.
That's super bad. That's not. It's not projected to do very well for the whole weekend. It is projected to do 8 to 11 million. Typically, movies want to do like their overall theatrical run. They want to do 2.5 to 3 times the budget to be considered profitable. So you do the math of 120 million times 2.5 to 3 and compare that to this 4 million opening, and you see what you get.
Yeah.
Yeah. So ratings wise, Cinema Score is a solid D+. Which is also not good.
That makes sense.
Critics for Rotten Tomatoes gave it a whopping 10%. Audiences a little higher at 50%. So the box office is bad. The reception is bad. It's just, you can probably guess how this review is going to go based on all those little tidbits. So do you want to give us a basic synopsis of what Borderlands was about?
Sure. So a basic synopsis of Borderlands is that there is a circumstance that, non-spoiler, there's a circumstance that involves getting a ragtag crew of people to a certain planet to break into a vault to get its riches.
Yeah, that sums it up. Now, I know, I guess neither one of us have played the video game, but is that the basis of the video game?
Yeah, like I know pretty much everything about the game.
Okay.
I don't play the game because I'm just not I'm not an FPS person.
First person shooter. Okay,
no.
okay.
But,
so it's like a what is it? Was Call of Duty type of game?
Yeah, in space.
Okay.
Essentially.
Yeah, that ain't my
so
thing.
Borderlands is a first person shooter video game. You play online with your friends.
Okay.
And the purpose of the game, it's a looter shooter. It's like one of the better looter shooters out there.
Looter shooter.
So it means that the point of the game is that you shoot people for loot. So the better you perform at the game, the better the loot drops are so you can get better guns, better gear, more rewarding stuff. So the main draw of Borderlands is
collecting a loot,
playing with your friends, and getting good loot, and it's known for being very rewarding with the loot. So it doesn't make you bend over backwards and grind for 10 hours before it gives you like the certain type of gun that you want. So it's very rewarding. That's why it has a high fan base.
And it's interesting. I guess it's not a surprise that they decided to adapt this video game into a film because that's like the thing now. But the execution is not quite.
Nobody plays Borderlands for the story.
No. I can see that because you just shooting and looting.
Yeah.
So what story do you really need?
I mean, there's like a story there that's just for like narrative sustenance. It's not important to the game at all.
Something to advance you along the game.
Nobody ever gets excited about the story mode of Borderlands. They're excited about playing with their friends.
It's like the storyline of like, does Call of Duty even have a storyline? Ain't you just there?
Yeah, but it's usually terrible. You never hear about the storyline of Call of Duty because nobody really cares about it. And I mean, the developers don't even care about the storyline of Call of Duty anymore. That's a different conversation.
Okay, wrong. We not at that video game adaptation yet, but I'm sure it's coming. All right, so let's get into non-spoilery. What we liked about this film.
I have one thing.
I forgot
that I liked about the film.
Okay, you go first.
I like Pandora. I like the planet itself as a setting. I like that it was a planet that had a bunch of different locations. It had a town. It had like catacombs full of crazy people.
Caves and whatnot.
I liked how, and the best part about it is I liked how it was marketed. The whole planet was marketed for vault hunting.
Okay.
Even the shuttle buses that take you from place to place are all about it. It reminded me of being at like a resort going out
and
of the
everybody
country.
knows you going
And
to
everybody
one place.
knows that you're here for the resort. Everybody
Yeah.
knows that you're on vacation. So everywhere you go, they're like advertising
Everybody's in a mood.
excursions to you. So
Right.
that's what it felt like
Okay.
in one of the particular scenes where Lilith is riding a shuttle bus from place to place, and the guy's kind of like playing an advertisement on the
Right,
TV,
to sell her
on
or
the seats
whatnot.
to sell her on guns and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I like the world of Pandora and how it was marketed as like a vault hunting planet. You're
Yes.
here. It felt like a tourist destination for,
And we on Pandora
people who look
for
for thrills.
95% of the movie.
Yeah.
So we're not like hopping planet to planet like you would in say Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
We in one central location most of the movie.
The whole planet looks like if Mad Max looks like
Fallout.
Earth, looks like Earth during the Mad Max era.
Okay.
Or Fallout.
I was gonna say it gave me Fallout for
So,
sure.
But yeah,
For
so
sure.
it wasn't like pretty to look at, but I thought that
It's a trash can.
how the planet was set up was very interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that your one?
That's my one
That's it.
like.
Okay. My two likes are I like that Kate Blanchett did something different. I don't know if that's for the
It
movie
was just different.
or for her more so than anything, but she's never played like a ragtag team character type before, right?
No,
think so.
okay, sure.
This is first.
Sure. This is the first
Is she-
ragtag team movie.
Okay. And I like that they kept the movie at a reasonable length. Like I'm
Yeah.
glad we wasn't there for 2.5 hours.
It was an hour and 45 minutes. I mean,
42.
They tried to respect our time.
They
So I appreciate that.
okay. Yep. Those are my
And
two.
you are incorrect. I guess Kate
What?
Blanchett's first ragtag movie was Ocean's 8. But I don't know if many people went to go see that either. So,
Dang.
and I don't know if you count Lord of the Rings as ragtag.
No, they more civilized. She was an elitist back in Lord of the Ring days. So we don't have very many likes for this. Let's get into what we did not quite enjoy.
Okay, this section's a little more fleshed out for me.
little more meaty.
Yeah.
What did you not quite enjoy about Borderlands?
So the first thing I noticed in the film is that the dialogue wasn't great. The dialogue's bad, and it's
Is it chemistry? Was it chemistry between the actors that was just not jiving?
I think that's a part of it, but the dialogue was bad before they got together.
The ragtag wasn't ragtagging.
Kevin Hart's dialogue when he is essentially Kevin Hart plays a character who is rescuing another one of the characters.
Correct.
In the beginning of the film, and their dialogue together
It was very weird.
is bad.
I was confused actually.
So
Like,
the
what are we
the dialogue wasn't great.
Mm-mm.
Some of the lines Kate Blanchett was saying in the bar just
Didn't roll off the tongue.
no.
Yeah, that
she
whole
was
scene was
she was
just-
supposed to be like this weary bounty hunter
Yes.
who felt like she was too old and tired for the job, but she just didn't come across
She's
that.
like-
She felt like she was more exhausted at filming the film than she
Right.
did as a character who was exhausted being a bounty hunter.
She came off as this whole, I'm supposed to be super good at being a bounty hunter, but I need to retire. But everybody knows I'm big and bad, so they don't mess with me. And it was
Yeah.
like, I mean, sure. Okay. Well, whatever.
Another thing I didn't like was way too much narrative exposition.
That's my
Like way too
first-
much narrative
that's
exposition.
my first note.
And what really drove that point home for me was there is a scene where Kate Blanchett's character Lilith is looking for Tiny Tina.
Yeah.
That's the first character that's the first member of the ragtag that she's looking for.
Yep.
So when she's tasked to go find her, she just arrives on the planet and she exposits 2 weeks worth of journey and adventure.
In about
She basically gives
5 seconds.
she's narrating and expositing her being on the planet for 2 weeks looking for Tiny Tina, and we get like montages of a monster she runs into,
Yeah.
or a quick montage of like a shootout, but
Uh-huh.
they don't really give us the scene.
No.
And I thought that was an interesting choice for an action movie to filter out the action parts for story.
That was my
when
first note. Was
story is not the
the
strong point.
exposition and the narration? Well, it was a little dry for one.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to compare. It's kind of like when Anthony Hopkins narrated the opening of Rebel Moon, and it just sets the tone of this movie not about to be that good because the line it's not very enthusiastic. It's very kind of ho hum. It's given like she called it in from the kitchen at home.
Yeah. I mean, an idiot. We know Anthony Hopkins does his VO at home.
Right. And it was just kind of like, just show us. Just show us what's happening. You don't have to explain this. And the fact that she explained 2 weeks in one line, she's like, it's been like 2 weeks. And we were like, since when, girl? Ain't this, your clothes is the same. The scene ain't changed. Your hair ain't moved. What are you talking about?
Ain't changed.
I didn't. Yeah, you're right. I didn't like that either.
Another thing I really wasn't going for was the visual effects.
CGI was choppy.
So the CGI,
cheap?
The CGI itself was standard.
Okay,
it was
fair.
nothing to write home about. It wasn't like Star Wars or anything like.
It wasn't no Avatar.
It wasn't even given The Expanse. But
no.
What was really bad was the green screen.
You talking about behind the scenes?
Yes.
Or not behind the scenes, but the background.
Yes. The backgrounds were the green screen backgrounds. Each and every single one of them were terrible. It seemed like usually when you do
the volume not available?
I think when you do a green screen, you're supposed to scale either the people in the shot or scale the screen in the background to where everything looks like it fits.
Yes.
The people in some of the shots, a lot of times the people were too big for the environment that was behind them.
Yes.
Like there's a scene where Tiny Tina is dropping stuffed toy bombs off like the top of this base
Caravan
that she's built or whatever.
RV or whatever.
And you can see the green screen mountain behind her, but she looks like Godzilla because they didn't scale the mountains correctly.
I didn't like it when they were doing chase scenes and I don't know what they were. The police, I'm just going to call them the
Atlas troops.
Yeah, the
soldiers.
Troops. We'll call them soldiers, whatever. The corporate soldiers were chasing our ragtag team, and it just like the background was super blurry, but they were moving maybe faster than the background.
It looked like for the chase scenes, it looked like he was watching Cars, like Disney Pixar Cars.
Okay.
Like the CGI was so bad and so super unrealistic.
I mean, we know how good chases look in the desert, in a mountain environment. This was not it.
They're supposed to be racing through the desert. We see the car that the heroes are in like tumble and get spit on by like alien goo and stuff.
Yeah.
But then when they do like a wide shot, the car is still clean because they just use the same CGI car model, but didn't actually add like the dirt effects
to it.
They didn't add the dirt effects as the chase went on.
They were probably
like
a wire cage, and then they just CGI'd everything
while
around
the car
it.
was getting like shot at with rockets and stuff. They would cut to a next scene where it pans out and the car looks perfectly fine because it's just like a CGI model.
And everybody that's chasing them just look like blobs.
Yeah.
CGI blobs. You're not really making out names or faces or scenery. You just like, oh, it's just a blurb of blob and colors behind here. Yeah. So CGI was not great.
Yeah, I mean, another non-spoiler dislike?
I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there for non-spoiler. Overall, the movie is just a movie. And it's almost less than that. It's given very shell. Like the thought was there. And then you could tell that behind the scenes, so apparently what the drama is, and this is not spoilery at all, there was a different director that was attached to it back in like 2015. Somehow that got scrapped. Eli Roth came and had this, because I guess Borderlands is a mature video game. So they like cuss and fuss and all that. Well, he made that type of movie and the studio was like, no, we need like a PG-13 blockbuster.
That probably would have been the better choice.
I mean, Kate Blanchett, they cussed a little bit, but there were certain times where you could have,
the planet was not gritty enough.
You could have added an extra punch if you just would have put like the word in there.
Yeah.
Kind of how Deadpool does it. I hate to compare it, but so apparently he made this like rated R filthy movie, and the studios was like, no, sir, we need something. We need a 4-quadrant movie. So they stripped everything out. And when they brought Tim Miller in, they reshot everything to make it PG-13, which is interesting because Tim Miller directed Deadpool. So why would you get the R-rated guy to make a PG-13 movie?
That makes sense, and that adds a lot of context to one of my non-spoiler notes that I have later on.
Okay. It also questions, why would you get the torture horror guy to make a family blockbuster?
I think Eli Roth does have some good stuff that I like Grindhouse, for example. So I'm not going to act like everything he makes is terrible. And people like Thanksgiving. I still plan to see it, and it's getting a sequel. Right. But he was the awful choice for this. He was not the correct choice for this.
I don't understand why they decided. The people they picked for this is crazy. And then the first director was, and I'm just spitting out random drama facts at this point before we get into spoilers, because it adds context to why this movie turned out the way that it did. Lee Winnell was
Lee Winnell.
Okay, yes, he was the first director back in 2015 that was going to direct it.
So Saw, that's interesting.
Yes, Saw, Insidious, The Invisible Man.
It's very interesting that they were tied to horror directors.
I don't understand. Right, and I think
there's nothing scary about Borderlands.
It could be rated R without being a horror movie.
Sean Levy would have been amazing at this type of.
Literally.
Sean Levy would have been amazing at making this type of action flick with this amount of characters and making it like vulgar, but
still watchable.
Still watchable, right?
So yeah, even Tim Miller would have been had they let him do the rated R version. Yeah. So it sounds like studio interference. They getting it back.
This was stuck in development for a very, very, very long time.
They too much meddling.
I don't think there was, for the people who knew this movie was coming out, I don't think there was a lot of hope for it. But no. I do have 2 non-spoiler dislikes left. So one, I didn't think it was very funny. And we talked about this.
Yeah.
Cate Blanchett can be funny. She has great comedic timing.
She does.
She was in Thor Ragnarok.
We loved her in Thor Ragnarok.
She was Hela in Thor Ragnarok. She was in Hannah. She was Hela in What If. She reprised the role in What If. She was great in What If.
One of our favorite episodes.
She had great comedic timing, even with like voiceover work.
Right.
So she had a lot of funny lines in the movie that were supposed to be funny, but they didn't come across well because the jokes were bad.
Right.
Jack Black is funny.
Yes.
But and they gave him all the funny dialogue, but he wasn't funny once. And I thought it was interesting because the jokes weren't bad. I think it was because I wasn't having a good time that made the jokes not good.
You were just like, let me out of here.
They were the same. They were the same level of jokes.
They were predictable.
They were the same level of jokes that that a robot or somebody would say in like a Star Wars movie.
They were very generic.
Or like in a Marvel movie. They were just like fun little quick bites of humor between like conversation.
But you've heard them before.
And usually in a movie like a Marvel movie or a Star Wars movie or a DC movie or something where I'm having a good time, the jokes come across better because it's like that topping on top of a nice slice of pizza. It's like
the Cool Whip.
But when the pizza sucks, who cares about the topping?
It's Cool Whip on your right. You don't need it all the time on your pie, but it adds a little extra.
I thought it was sad that it wasn't funny because the ingredients were there. And Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart is a good comedian.
Let's pause for a second. Kevin Hart is a comedian before I would say he's an actor. Yeah. I don't know why they had a comedian in this as an actor and he not be funny.
So between the 3 of them, there was like, especially just with, cutting out Cate Blanchett, just with Jack Black and Kevin Hart. A lot of their dialogue was supposed to be humorous and it would have been funny if it was in a better film. But I think the film brought the jokes and the writing down. Well, the writing brought the film down. But I feel like the film not being good sucked the life out of the parts that were supposed to be funny.
And maybe Kevin Hart was not trying to be like the stereotypical just the funny guy, but this movie needed stereotypical funny guy. I'm like corny jokes should have been laid out here.
That was supposed to be Claptrap, but I think that poor writing is what fumbled that because that's what that character is in the game. Roland's not a comedic character in the game.
Okay, so he was trying to be the more serious guy. And this movie is not serious. So I don't know why we didn't just let all the jokes fly.
Yeah, it's supposed to have like a Suicide Squad feel to it, but I'll leave that for spoilers. The last non-spoiler thing is that of course there's the good guys and there's bad guys. Yeah. The goal is to get into a vault. The good guys want to use the stuff in the vault for good things. The bad guys want to use the stuff in the vault for bad things.
Typical.
Not a spoiler alert. The bad guys, of course, want to make super weapons with whatever is in the vault.
Shocker.
That's what the whole point of the corporation. Right. That's boring.
It was not. And
when the movie already sucks, and then you introduce the point of the villain early in the film. Yeah. Early in the film, they say, okay, the bad guys want to get in the vault to use it for super weapons. It's like, okay, great. We haven't officially met the bad guys, but now I don't care about them because this whole plot line is typical, cheesy, and boring.
And you know the movie's not going to do anything different. very early on. We're like, okay, this is going to be a typical movie with a typical plot, and now we got boring villains.
And you made a good point where in the Marvels, the villain, a good example of a villain who's bad but doing bad things for a very interesting reason. The villain in the Marvels, Dar-Benn, she wanted to basically annihilate other worlds, but the whole point of it was to bring those worlds resources to save her planet. That's interesting.
She was just trying to save her kind.
She
like,
still,
that made sense.
Or Thanos. Like, both of them still have world domination and death in mind, but at least their method and their plan is interesting.
Right.
And they just didn't even try with this villain.
I don't think they tried with this movie.
No.
Period.
So that's my last non-spoiler note.
All right, so that is all we're going to say for non-spoilers as far as this movie is concerned. We're going into spoilers in 3, 2, and 1.
Yeah.
So my first, how the movie opened to me was confusing. So the basis of the movie is that Atlas is this corporation, like you said, wants to open this vault. And Tiny Tina is supposed to be the key to the vault. Right,
because apparently, for people who don't play the game or didn't watch the movie, apparently aliens used to conquer the universe or our galaxy. But then they left for a reason that they never explained.
Nope.
So the votes were the riches and remnants left over by the alien race. That's why the votes are so important.
And only a daughter of the alien race,
Iridia,
can open a vault. So it's thought through the movie that Tiny Tina is this daughter, and she is the daughter also of Atlas, is the guy who runs this Atlas Corporation.
Right.
But we find out later that she's actually a clone of some blood that was found to make her alive, to be the key.
So
anyway,
they found some DNA on an artifact and used it to clone
to create
Iridian.
Right. And that's supposed to be the key to open up the vault.
Tina's the latest clone.
Right.
Because they've done it multiple times.
And I was confused because out of all the exposition we got from Kate Lilith at the beginning, nobody decided to explain that the reason why Roland was kidnapping, quote unquote, Tiny Tina was because he was trying to save her and not like kidnap her for nefarious purposes. Well, I was just like,
I think that was
because Commander Knox was there, and then the Borderland dude with the mask was there. And I'm confused at what's happening here.
I think that's a part of either poor writing or rewrites or reshoots, because
maybe.
The movie does open up with Roland breaking in to rescue Tiny Tina from a facility. We don't know what the facility is.
She looks like she's in like a
She looks like she's in a space jail.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's breaking her out of the facility.
Right.
And in order to break her out of the facility, he's fighting Atlas guards to do it.
Right.
But what was strange was that when he breaks her out of her cell, Tiny Tina, he tells Tiny Tina, "I'm here to take you back to your father." And she goes with him willingly.
She seems
but
excited.
Ultimately, she doesn't want to go back to her dad. So where did he break her out from if wherever he broke her out from was already under the protection of Atlas guards? Like, how is he breaking her out to take her back to her dad if she's under the protection and custody of her dad's soldiers?
Sense.
It was strange.
And because then Commander Knox comes, who we know has on like the Atlas gear. And I was like, well, are Roland and Commander Knox working together? They both want the girl, but then out of all the exposition that they gave us in the movie, how it starts, confusing.
It was weird that Kevin Hart said, "I'm here to take you back to your dad," and she went with Kevin Hart, not knowing who Kevin Hart was.
Right.
But when Kate Blanchett, Lilith showed up to say the same exact thing,
when they were on the
she
planet,
wanted to blow Kate Blanchett up. It's like, but why didn't you blow up Roland?
Right, because she obviously did not want to go back to her dad, which isn't explicitly obvious in the very, very beginning, but it is once we get to Pandora.
Right.
The writing is just messy, not all over the place. And then they got the nerve to try to explain stuff to you that you like, I just show me. I don't get it.
Yeah, the writing was all over the place. Some of the characters some of the characterizations were terrible. Jamie Lee Curtis character, Dr. Tannis, for example. So I guess Dr. Tannis is supposed to be in the film. I don't know. She's a video game character, but I'm not familiar with that character.
Right.
In the film, she's supposed to be like this socially awkward scientist who's really good at science, but not good at people. According
to IMDb, Jamie Lee Curtis described her as autistic. So
she did not come across as autistic, and I would not.
To me, it was just
I would
bad
retract
acting.
that if I was her.
Right, because it's like, how how do you say that? I ain't gonna get into that.
It's bad acting.
I was gonna say it's just bad acting.
I don't want bad acting to be associated with autism. I don't think that's a good look at all.
Real gray area, Jamie. I don't think I like that. But
I got the gist that she was supposed to be like, oh, I'm not good around people, but I'm really good at like numbers and science and data.
She was barely good at that.
Yeah, maybe it was just poor direction, or maybe she's just not that great of an actress, but she wasn't pulling off socially awkward. She mostly just seemed like she didn't know her lines. She seemed confused, like she didn't know where she was most of the film.
It gave Cate Blanchett was given more a new, like Cate Blanchett had an idea in mind of how a scene should go, and Jamie Lee Curtis was like, I'm doing my own thing. Yeah. So they both were in the same scene with different personalities that it just, I was like, what is she doing here?
It was I don't know, either she wasn't campy enough.
Okay, maybe
she needed to be campier.
She needed to be more, all right, okay, more zany.
It was very dry. Her interpretation of Dr. Tennis was extremely dry. And I say that as somebody who doesn't even know who Dr. Tennis is, but she's got to be more flavorful than
y'all who play the game. Please give us a more accurate description of what Dr. Tennis is like, because in this movie, I don't feel like she got done justice. And I actually thought she was going to sacrifice herself. And when she didn't, I was like, oh, womp womp.
As far as the directing, the action sequences were not great.
They were missable.
They were few and far between. We got maybe 3 action sequences.
Three big ones. Yep.
An action sequence where the team gets together.
Yep. Ragtag team meets everybody.
When they all first, at least we get Tiny Tina, Lilith, Roland, and Krieg.
Yep. And Claptrap. Don't forget about
and Claptrap. We do get annoying Claptrap.
Yep.
So that was the first action sequence. It was a chase. It had terrible CGI.
Yep.
The second action sequence we get is in the cave
with the other. What are they called? The psychos. There you go.
Well, they're like
we gonna call them psychos.
They're psychos, but they are. I'm blanking on the exact terminology of them.
Psychos.
But they're like really, really, really crazy psychos who stay underground. They drop a line in the film. I think Roland's character says that they're so crazy that the regular psychos are afraid of them.
Yeah. What did they eat down there?
Probably each other.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
That was the second action sequences.
Yep.
It was the better of the 3 in the film.
They broke it into 2, I guess, because we get one scene where Claptrap. No, I guess. That's only one. You're right. It's only one. I take that back, because Claptrap distracts them first. Yeah. And then they light him up, and somehow Claptrap survives that. Anywho. And then we get the main sequence where we're fighting in like the hallway or whatever. Okay,
yeah.
Right.
So that was the second action sequence. Yep. That was the better of the 3 of the film for me. At least it had some tension, because they were like in a tight space and they were trying to escape. Yep. The third one would be the third act action sequence.
Which was...
I didn't care for that, because it was mainly just Edgar Ramirez's character doing wobbly hand motions to a CGI ship to blast things down. He looked like a Power Ranger outside the suit.
I do not like his acting.
It didn't look good.
I didn't like his acting.
And he is really bad at line delivery.
I'm sorry.
His line delivery is terrible.
I think he just can't act. Just like, period.
It's so, and it has nothing to do with like his accent. It's just dry. No. The way he delivers lines is as if he's reading off a cue card, but it's the first time he's seen the lines.
It's, you know what, and it's very opposite of what's his name from Squid Game and who was just in the Star Wars. Yes. Mm-hmm. Totally different. To where you have an actor who, you know, he has an accent and he might have started in like foreign films or foreign work or whatnot, but now he's in like American stuff. But he know how to act. Yeah. This guy, every time he in something, I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, him being a foreign actor or having an accent doesn't have anything to do with his poor line delivery. No. Pedro Pascal is a foreign actor who has a foreign accent. He has excellent line delivery.
I just don't think he keeps getting
Ralph Ineson, amazing.
He keeps getting in stuff. So I'm just kind of like,
yeah, he was in Jungle Cruise where he sounded the exact same.
He probably played the exact same character.
He sounded like the bad guy from Madam Web.
He does.
Like they were equally as dry in every single thing that they said. The only thing this character, Edgar Ramirez, didn't have was bad ADR.
This is the only thing missing from this movie.
It's
is
horrible
bad ADR. Yeah. I didn't like the villain. So he's the villain. He plays the villain, Atlas. Mm-hmm. Boring, basic, don't care. Surprise, surprise. He gets it at the end.
He's dry as toast.
I didn't like Tina that much.
Yeah, so that's another note that I have.
She did not, and like you made a good point when we were talking about this one right when we left the movies, that she's not a bad actress because she's been in other stuff, and I've enjoyed her in their other things. But in this particular thing, I'm gonna blame it on maybe the writing, in the script, because she would have like these one-liners, like she would do something to make something work, or she would open up a door, or she would, throw a bomb or whatever, and she would have like these supposedly cute little one-liners that somebody says something like, "Oh, I did it," or "Oh, you guys need me," and it's supposed to be like, "Ha ha ha, that's funny." Nope. Yeah. Didn't come across as funny or cute, or it was just like, girl, just keep going.
So I have two notes about that. Cate Blanchett. I think the two people who were wasted in this movie were Cate Blanchett and Ariana Greenblatt.
Definitely Kate for sure.
Definitely Kate was wasted in this.
1000%.
But Kate's got jobs lined up, so she's fine. She just got like nominated for an Oscar for Tar, so she's good. Ariana Greenblatt, I think, was wasted in this because she's been better in a lot of other stuff.
She was better in Barbie, like you said.
She was better in Barbie. She was better in Ahsoka.
Much better in both of those.
She was good in 65, even though she didn't have that many lines. I mean, she was a good actress for somebody who didn't have like a lot of lines to say, because that was the point of her character. That she didn't speak English.
The most egregious thing about 65 was that it was too short.
Yeah. That was the bad thing about 65, is that there wasn't enough movie left.
Hello.
Everybody else, I think, fit perfectly in this type of film. Like Jamie Lee Curtis, Kevin Hart, Florian.
The Jamie Lee Curtis fan is about to light us up.
I mean, who cares? Jamie Lee Curtis got her Oscar, so I mean, no type of criticism that anybody could say could take her Oscar away. But she was horrible in this movie.
She was that. But anybody could have played that character.
And this is the same. This is the type of caliber of movie Jamie Lee Curtis would be in. So I don't think she was wasted here.
Okay, fair.
Kevin Hart has plenty of dumb, fun action films in his filmography.
This is probably the worst.
He's not wasted.
So he can only go up from here, y'all.
Florian is an athlete.
Oh, he's fine.
So this is his Jason Momoa, Dave Bautista, The Rock role, where they're just called in to be the muscle character because they're not a particularly good actor.
He had on a mask most of this movie anyway, so I don't even know what that man looked like.
I don't think he was wasted here because, like I said, any of those other people I listed would have been casted in this role in the beginning of their acting career.
I don't disagree. But
Florian was better as Razor Fist, though. And Shang-Chi, he was Razor Fist.
Is that who he is?
Yeah, when I realized that's who that was, I was like, I liked you in that. So maybe you were wasted. Maybe you were wasted too.
I liked him in that movie. Yeah. Because like you were ready for him to get it, but you liked that you were ready for him to get it because he kept. Oh, I didn't know. And he ended up
living at the end. So he ended up getting his mind right and switching sides.
I'm gonna say they wasted him.
Good for him. Yeah.
I'm gonna say he was wasted.
I might add him to the wasted him list because
he deserved better.
And that goes to show like a better written film. See what you can do with the same people and a better written film and the same type of role.
Pause. This guy was also in Creed. He was Victor Drago in Creed.
Yeah, he was also in Creed.
He was wasted. Come on. Okay, keep going.
So, but also the same type-ish character in Creed too, where he's just like the dumb muscle.
Yeah.
But
he was
written so much better in a better film.
You're right.
It's weird. The ingredients were here.
Who wrote this? Who did? Eli Roth did the screenplay. Sorry, keep going.
So video game adaptations always cut out
something
when they make a video game adaptation. When they make a film adaptation, of a video game. They always cut out what made the video game so important when they're making the film. Yeah. This movie reminded me of plenty of video game films.
There's so many bad ones.
I have a couple, 3. So Resident Evil.
I knew you was gonna say that one, and that one got like 12 sequels.
Yeah, it has a bunch of sequels. So the thing about Resident Evil is a guilty pleasure movie for me. The movies are terrible.
Yeah,
horrible, god awful pieces of
garbage.
But you
have a good time. It sound like
I have a good time watching them. Okay. They're awful action garbage. I
don't mind those movies
that make no sense, but I don't mind them. But the Resident Evil movie sucked because the best part of Resident Evil, the games, is the storyline.
Right.
Each of the games has a continuous storyline.
Now I know a little bit about Resident Evil.
They have lots of the characters reoccur in each title. So that's what's the best part about Resident Evil. And they changed that for the movies and inserted, like Mila Jovovich's character was a completely made up person. And they centered not existing in the games at all. Not a single one.
I didn't know that.
They create because her husband made the movies. He created
now
a character
that I
for
did
her
know.
and centered the entire franchise of films around her. That's why the movies were terrible.
Oh,
But I do like Mila Jovovich. I think
right.
the writing and I do blame her husband. I'm sorry, Mila.
We ain't married to him.
Monster Hunter, which we saw. We watched Monster Hunter at home. That was with the surprise T.I. and Megan Good deaths.
Yeah. That movie was interesting. I'm going to call it interesting.
The reason Monster Hunter movies flopped because they inserted that unnecessary military parallel universe storyline.
It was weird.
Monster Hunter is just about existing in a fantastical world where you make weapons and slay monsters.
I remember that.
They didn't need to add the U.S. military in it at all or make a parallel universe.
They can afford their own advertising.
And I will never. Mortal Kombat was fine. It was a serviceable movie, but I will never remove my boot off the neck of Mortal Kombat for not putting the combat in the movie.
Yeah,
and
biggest flaw.
Not putting the tournament in the first film was a flop, and it's a flop excuse when they say the tournament was saved for the sequel.
No. It's called Mortal Kombat, not Mortal.
That only makes sense if
Mortal.
there was only one Mortal Kombat game in existence and you're like, okay, we have to take this one game and stretch it as a franchise. That would make sense to stretch the tournament to the sequel.
No.
But when you have like how many games?
100.
13. There are like 13 Mortal Kombats.
100.
So you don't have to save the tournament
and
for the
you
sequel.
are watching
we
the
know
movie.
The tournament is in every single game.
Hello. You are watching the movie to recreate the things that you play in the video game, and you going through now when you play those games, you can go through the story mode, quote unquote, because you're working towards the tournament.
Yeah.
What no tournament in that?
Yeah.
I don't know why they take the essence of the video game out of these movies.
You take the best part of the best part about the video game and you cut it out to simplify it to make a movie, and
I don't get it.
You don't even realize that you're cutting out the meat and you're making it simplified, but moviegoers aren't like simple people. Yeah.
Bored.
They're not all moviegoers are simple people. They know when you're pushing like video game crap in their face.
Well, and it's
that
also
has no substance.
When you make these movies, you're catering to the fans. Like you're catering to what made this particular video game.
I think that's the issue.
Yeah.
I think they are making video game movies
trying to make them 4-quadrant,
catering to audiences that don't care about the game. But the thing is, so
you don't want to go see this movie.
For example, you don't play a lot of different video games.
No.
So like this, Borderlands, for example, you didn't have any familiarity with it before the movie was announced.
Right.
When the movie was announced, they're like marketing it towards you who doesn't play the game. Yeah. But the thing they don't realize is that you who doesn't play the game are going to ask people who do play the game or at least are familiar with it what it's about. And I'm going to tell you what it's about. And you're going to go back and look at the trailer and say, this trailer doesn't look like what they told me this movie was going to be about.
I will be honest. If we did not have this podcast, I would have not seen this movie.
Yeah.
I'm only watching this movie because we have a podcast.
Making a film adaptation of a video game doesn't work if you're cutting out the most important part of what made the game interesting or fun. Because you can't work off the assumption that, the people who are watching the movie aren't going to know what they're missing because we're cutting it out. They will, because they're going to go look up. When you say it's based off of something, a book, a TV show, a game, the people are going to at least Google background for it. Pre-existing material.
If I'm interested, and I can't even say like Dungeons and Dragons. Mm-hmm. That's not a video game. That's a board game. Still have never played it, but the trailer, they did a good job of, and honestly, I don't know how much of the lore they stuck to in Dungeons and Dragons, but the movie was still good though. Yeah. So there's a way to take something that's a game, whether it's video game or board game, and make it into a movie.
Yeah.
I don't know why they keep missing the mark, but they are hitting the mark when it comes to TV shows. So
I think because TV shows, I think, cut out less because they have the more time to flesh it out.
Yeah.
Fallout was jam-packed with like Easter eggs and stuff. But
that I did read up on afterwards.
A lot of people weren't confused. I don't think you were ever confused about the world of Fallout or some of like the references they made, because they at least did a good job of trying to flesh it out or trying to explain it.
And they had a lot of room. Like Fallout was 10 episodes. Mm-hmm. So you get 10-hour-long episodes. That's 10 hours versus an hour-and-a-half movie. I get it, but if y'all can't do it right, just stop.
They're not going to not do it. If they can't do it right, they're gonna. This is a clear example. If they're not gonna do it right, they're gonna press forward with aplomb.
Right, they're gonna get a new director, shell out the movie, and then try to stuff in some garbage, and then still.
Yeah, they're gonna see it through, even if it's a pile of crap. They're gonna see it all the way through to the end.
The writing was bad. The directing obviously was jumbled because we had one director who did the movie, then somebody else come in to do reshoots when the director was busy on his next movie. The actors were wasted. Most of them were wasted. I just don't see why anybody was like, stop, let's start over.
Yeah. So I have
something.
I have a final note that I think is an idea for what might have improved the film.
Okay.
So the whole point of the video game Borderlands is that it's not a ragtag get the crew together type of it has kind of those notes in the storyline.
So each of the characters are just like playable characters?
Yeah. Each of the characters in the film are playable characters in the game.
Gotcha.
Most of the main party in this film.
Kind of like Mortal Kombat.
I don't think Dr. Tannis is a playable character.
Good, thank goodness.
She's a reoccurring side character.
Oh.
But if there's a lot of Borderlands games, so if she is playable in one of them, forgive me.
Right.
I haven't played.
Don't
but it's a co-op looter shooter. The whole point of the game that people play it for is to play with their friends.
So that's
they all
why
choose a character. They
tag.
play with their friends.
Gotcha.
I think the movie should have started off with the characters already being friends.
Yeah.
They should have already been a ragtag. This should have been like, they should have started off
Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Like Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yep.
We've already done the origin.
Yep.
Where the ragtag group
they
of people are together.
already have their inner jokes and, chemistry and all that jazz.
And I think the reason that they should have done that is because it would have been more believable if they started off the movie that they were already friends. Because the way that what unfolds in the story that brings them together and makes them like come to like each other doesn't add up. It doesn't work.
What was it?
Exactly. It's not there.
I'm like, what was that moment actually?
The whole point of the film, the whole point of the characters in the film is to go through trial and tribulation together, be at odds, and then come to like each other, and by the end they become a family.
Right.
This is poorly written, so that's not believable. I think it would have been more believable if they were, don't show us how these unlikely people got together because you can't write it.
Yeah.
If you didn't write it well, so you shouldn't have shown us
just already have
them getting together.
Yeah.
You should have already had them together, and we should have just had to deal with it.
Yes, because
it would have been a much more enjoyable experience if they were already friends.
You're right, because there's no moment. So to jump to how the movie goes, basically Tiny Tina is not the key. Lilith is the key because she's basically Jean Grey, the Phoenix.
Yeah.
And she is the daughter of Iridia, and her mom knew that she was an alien and blah 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 blah. Anywho, the defining moment I guess is supposed to be that Lilith was trying to protect Tiny Tina from going back to the murderous corporation guy, and they all wanted to make sure Tina didn't get hurt.
Well, because they both felt like unwanted daughters. That's what brought Lilith and Tiny Tina closer together. Lilith felt like an unwanted daughter because she felt like her mom abandoned her when her mom didn't. Of course, her mom died protecting her and poorly explained it to her.
Yeah,
so she let her grow up her whole life thinking she was unwanted because that's original. Tina felt like an unwanted daughter because her dad literally made her to open a vault.
She's just a clone, and they was about to put her back on ice when they realized she wasn't the key.
And harvest her organs.
Right.
So that's what brought them together. They both felt like they were both twisted sisters. So that's what brought them together.
Why did Roland care so much? Was he just a good guy, just a general good guy?
In the film, I guess he was the one stormtrooper. He was the Finn who got a conscience.
Okay.
Because he used to work for Atlas, and he called the Atlas soldiers fake stormtroopers. So he was supposed to be the Finn character who grew a conscience and decided that
they were supposed
killing
to be like
Tiny Tina
Finn,
wasn't the good thing to do.
Ray and Oscar Isaac, I guess.
They were supposed to have
Chewbacca.
I mean, because those three characters didn't get together until the Rise of Skywalker, technically. So
right, because they
were supposed to be Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, and it didn't.
But
pure execution.
Guardians of the Galaxy. The first Guardians of the Galaxy was written really well to where it was believable that all of you terrible, annoying individuals
need to work together,
would come together and find family in each other.
And they had a good.
It was written well to the circumstance. They were in a perfectly written circumstance
to where they had to
band together, and it made sense that they stuck together.
And in this situation, the circumstance just it was just basic. Like,
There's
Lilith was looking for Tiny Tina, and Tiny Tina was already with Roland and the psycho dude. So let's all come together, because if we don't get to the vault before they do, world domination. And it's like, oh, that's typical.
Yeah, here's an
How
example.
original.
After the vehicle chase.
Yeah, in the
They
Mad Max era.
So after the vehicle chase, it's Lilith, Roland, Krieg, and Tiny Tina, and
Yep.
Claptrap. Those are the only characters we have together so far. They blow a tire and they have to stop.
Right.
And Kevin Hart has Lilith at. I'm switching character and actor names.
Y'all know
Roland
who we're
has
talking
Lilith at gunpoint.
Yes.
Because he's like,
Oh,
we're trying to get into the vault for good reasons, and you work for Atlas technically,
right,
because you were hired to get Tina.
So you're the bad person.
He was like, we can't break into this vault and watch our backs at the same time, so you have to take a hike. We can't trust you. And her argument to that is, well, if you make me walk, the Atlas people are going to kill me anyway, because the last thing they saw was me riding around in the truck with you. And so we have to work together. No, we don't.
Actually,
That's
we don't.
a poor argument. Why do I care if the people that hired you
wanna
killed
kill you?
Because I'm also going to kill you if you don't go away. So why?
I would have been
how
like,
is that
meet
an
you there,
argument that we
girl.
have
Get
to
out of
stay
here.
together? Right.
I don't.
It didn't make any sense.
What was funny about that scene was they had that musical moment where they like build up this tension, because Kevin Hart's got the gun pointed at Kate, and they're like, oh my God, is he really going to shoot? And they're like, no, he's not going to shoot her, because we're only 30 minutes into this movie.
She's the main character.
But they build up that musical moment. Then it's like,
Yeah.
I'm like, y'all tried it.
Just poor writing all around.
Yeah.
I saw the attempt to try to build the camaraderie. I think the movie would have been serviced better if they skipped the camaraderie building part and just started us off with characters who are already familiar,
I
because
agree with that.
it doesn't make sense that they would be together. So don't show us them getting together. Just stick them together and just be like, this is the crew, you deal with it.
And they work, they're fine. They work
I would have been
together.
able to gloss over the fact that none of you have chemistry.
If anything, the only new person they could have retrieved would have been Tiny Tina. Like, somehow their mission leads them to Tiny Tina, and now they have to like save her. That would have been more believable than what we got.
And back to Tiny Tina's bad Harley Quinn impersonation. I think that
why she was off.
Ariana Greenblatt is too old for the type of character they casted her as. So in the video game, Tiny Tina, I think in the game and in this film, they're supposed to be the same age. Mm-hmm. But in the game, Tiny Tina comes off as more crazy, mentally unstable.
Yeah.
Because she like,
Cool.
she's living on Pandora, which is like an awful Mad Max garbage planet, and
Right.
she blows up people, and she's a little girl, so she creates bombs out of stuff. She's crazy. She's nuts.
Yeah.
But she's amongst nuts company, because they're all supposed to be
She's been raised by nuts, so she's a nut.
But she didn't act in the film. She came off more childish, and she seemed too old. A lot of the characters were too old for the parts they played.
She was too innocent.
I think she just seemed too old to be so childish. She seemed childish.
Okay. Childish. Okay.
Harley Quinn doesn't seem like she's in her right mind.
But she don't seem childish.
But she doesn't seem But you're right. Harley Quinn doesn't seem conscious of the decisions.
She just seems a little cuckoo
that she makes. She seems cuckoo.
Joker was her boyfriend.
She seems cuckoo, and that's why she makes cuckoo decisions.
Right.
Tiny Tina in this film comes across as a person who's consciously making cuckoo decisions.
Okay.
For no reason.
And she knows better.
Like, she seems like a character who's acting out more than like a character who's acting crazy.
She seems like a annoying child versus
like a child who wants attention,
product
but
of her environment.
Not a bad child.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. There was something in my notes I have her as unlikable.
I mean, none of them are likable.
I was just kind of like, her one-liners weren't hitting. She wasn't a nuisance, but she didn't really add, like, she had the bomb building capabilities with the little stuffed animals, but they told her not to use it.
Yeah,
and you were like, why not? And I was like, yeah, you're right.
In the scene where they're fighting the underground psychos, and it's an enclosed space, and they're like, we need to find a way to get rid of all the psychos at once. She offers to throw a bomb,
and they
which
say no.
is the one skill that she has, because she's too small to defend herself.
Right.
And it told her no. And I was like, so why is she here? What is her purpose if you're not going to let her do her special move?
They use Claptrap as a diversion. And then at the end of that whole scene, she ends up throwing the bomb anyway because they run into the idiots again. Right. And it's just like, y'all should have just had her do it the first time. We could have cut 20 minutes out of this movie. But whatever.
And my last note, which is an unbelievable note, Kevin Hart should have died in the caves with the crazies.
He should have. So we have this self-sacrifice scene. And this is actually the best fight scene of the movie, where we get all of the psychos trying to get our heroes, quote unquote.
Yep.
And they have to make the sacrifice play because Kevin Hart needs to fix a wire so the rest of the team can go up into this elevator to get back to the surface. So he makes the sacrifice, and somehow, some way, ain't no way, he makes it out alive without a scratch.
So all of the psychos look video game accurate, I guess. Okay. They all look like they're like
muscle man.
Yes.
Like on steroids, perhaps.
Yeah, they're extremely like huge muscular people, the men, the women, even the dwarves, the small people. They are extremely muscular.
Yep.
And Kevin Hart's 5'5". He takes on at least 10. We get a scene of at least a crowd of them tackling him as he's making the sacrifice. And then the next scene where we find that he survived, he's just buried under a pile of them. He just
pushes one of them off of him.
And he looks clean. He's not bruised. He's not torn. He just looks like the scene cut. And we're supposed to believe that somehow 5'5" Kevin Hart took down all of these psychos by himself.
Yes, because how?
It would have made more sense if they left Krieg down there. Because Krieg is a psycho. He's amongst company-ish. Right. So leave his crazy behind down there.
He would have been more apt to fight those people.
And hold the line.
And they try to make it seem like rolling through a bomb, but he threw the bomb first. And then he gets rid of maybe like 10 or so of the psychos.
And that's where the scene should have ended.
Right. And then a whole you're exactly right. Because then a whole horde of more psychos, because there's a bunch of them down there, come charging at him. And I'm like, oh, he's done.
Yeah.
He don't have another bomb?
If he had thrown the bunny bomb and then the scene cut after the explosion and then he just randomly showed up, it would have been like, okay, so fine. You threw the bomb, you wounded enough to shoot your way out solo. Right. But don't show us.
How did he even get out the cave?
Don't show us a crowd of these like giants tackling this child on screen, and we're supposed to believe that Kevin Hart got out.
We literally cut back to the screen. He's just laying down. And he just pushes somebody's arm. And there he is, alive and well without a... He's even got a little hat still on.
He's not even dirty. He was as clean as that CGI car was in the chase scene earlier in that movie.
It just didn't make... Like, why'd y'all bother? Why bother? Y'all could have just cut the scene and just... A little editing would have done this movie. Even though it's only an hour and 42 minutes. A little more editing actually could have cleaned this up just a little bit more.
All right. So favorite line and scene? Or... I won't challenge you to do both.
Okay, thank you. Favorite line, scene. I feel like I got at least one in here.
I'll go first. I don't have a favorite line. I have a favorite scene.
Okay.
This is after the crew acquire Dr. Tannis. Okay. And they sneak out in the garbage truck. To sneak out of the city. So because Atlas is clean sweeping the city looking for them. Yep. They get out of the garbage truck. They're covered in garbage. They get into the van so they can head on the way to their next destination. Everybody's filthy and dirty. Yep. And Jamie Lee Curtis's character, Dr. Tannis, pulls out this electro cleaner.
Yeah.
This like handheld electro
cleaner.
They call
it electro shower or something.
Digitally like erases all dirt and grime off of you. And she like uses it on herself. And everybody in the car is just looking at her because she doesn't offer it to anybody until like everybody's looking at her like, how dare you whip that out in front of all of us while we stink.
Yes, because they rode out in a garbage truck.
Right. So that was my favorite scene.
That was funny.
Everybody's expression looking at her while she's like wanding herself after they're all like covered in grime.
That was a little comedic relief. Yeah. I like that. Okay, so I will say at the very end, and this is only my favorite. I'm saying favorite because not to jack your favorite, so I can dare to be different. The scene at the very end where Lilith turns into Jean Grey, the Phoenix, and she uses her powers to basically bulletproof everybody else. That was kind of cool.
That's a video game Easter egg. So when you're playing with your friends, and whoever's playing at Lilith, that's like her super. That's like her super move.
Okay.
Where she charges up she gets her Firebird ability, and then she has like this area of effect ability that gives all of the companion characters like this invincible fire shield around them.
That was cool. So she turned with a fire. What's the character?
She's called Firebird.
Firebird. I keep calling her Jean Grey or the Phoenix. She turns into a Firebird. It looks like they jacked.
She looks like Jean Grey.
They definitely borrowed something from X-Men.
I mean, you know, we don't work in legal.
Listen, they let y'all get away with it. So don't get mad at me.
Borderlands existed for so long, so there's clearly they're clearly ingrained this likeness into
so
their
when she does that to like Roland and Tiny Tina and everybody, I thought that was pretty cool because Kevin Hart has a line where he says, I can't remember what he says, but when it eventually wears off, he says, "Oh, guess I knew that was not gonna last too long." I was like, oh, that's kind of
fun. Lilith became fun when she got her Firebird powers.
Which is the last 5 minutes of the movie.
But that still didn't make it the best fight scene. But her abilities did help. So, and they were fun to look at. I
said the CGI wasn't totally bad. It was very middle of the road, but it wasn't like, ugh. So good for that.
All right, final words about the movie and our rating.
Go watch Dungeons and Dragons instead. That's my final word.
Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons was what I wanted this film to give me. I remember tweeting like, if this film can make me feel just a little bit of what I felt with Dungeons and Dragons, I'm gonna want a sequel forever, because I'm gonna want a sequel to Dungeons and Dragons until they give me one.
Start that petition up for myself.
And I didn't get any of those emotions.
Zero.
Very early into the film, I knew that this wasn't gonna satisfy my Dungeons and Dragons.
The bar scene at the beginning set the tone for the rest of the movie, and I was like, okay, it's just phoning it in.
When she started, and you know, the thing about Dungeons and Dragons is Chris Pine narrated in the beginning of that film, just like Cate Blanchett narrated in the beginning of this one. But
somebody watched.
That didn't help at all.
You're right.
So the bones were there; they had the ability to do
it.
There's
rounded out.
There was rumors that the person who wrote this film also did the writing on The Last of Us.
Yes, that's in IMDb trivia as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's very interesting that they... I have to blame the studio. I have to.
I think studio interference killed, ripped, and shredded this whole
studios movie. And executives not having any idea about the IP, not having any idea about...
Just trying to cash in?
The people... It's like they don't even poll the people who bought the game, that made the game a multi-million-dollar game, that made you want to buy it, make it a studio film. Did you even talk to the people who supported it to get it to your interest level?
They could have just played it. I feel like if you would have just played a couple of them, or had somebody to play a couple of them and watch them, they could have figured it out. This behind the scenes was so bad. It said that the reshoots that they ended up doing compromised so much of the final movie that the original composer had to write an entirely new score, because the original score, they got a new composer to write a new score because the original score no longer fit the film. So the reshoots were so bad they had to redo the music. Do you know how bad you got to be for where the music don't even fit the movie no more?
Terrible.
That's outrageous.
And the music wasn't anything to write home about in this. There was nothing memorable about the score or
because the movie was
soundtrack
nothing.
Or anything in this film.
I know the new guy was like, I ain't whatever. Just slide me the check. I'll send you some leftovers from the last film I worked on.
As far as my rating, it's gonna be 1 Nicole Kidman. I didn't have a good time at all.
Yeah.
I wish I could say that there was the only areas for improvement.
All of it. Every area.
This movie would have had to. I mean, it's weird to say the only area of improvement would be scrap the movie and make it again, but that's clearly how we got here, because they scrapped the first movie and decided to make it again. I don't think Borderlands needed to be a movie.
No. I mean, let's
nothing
be honest.
needs to be a movie.
Right. I was going to say most video games don't need to be a movie, but the series do well. So take something from the series and plant it into these movies.
Not for its narrative and not for its storyline. Honestly, the most recent Borderlands that came out was bombed for its storyline. They hated it, the storyline, because I think they tried to insert space YouTube content creators who were also bounty hunters as the villains.
Why they always gotta do that?
I don't know.
We know we have YouTube. We don't need to also have it in the movies.
Yeah, so
Twisters.
Borderlands isn't known for its storyline. I think trying to make it a narrative-rich franchise was
a bad move. Okay, so you're right. This was just
it's a one. I don't think Nicole would like this.
So I'm gonna give it I'll give it a 1. I was gonna say half.
I think this is my first one.
I think I give Rebel Moon a 1. Probably.
Did I give Rebel Moon a 1?
You should have if you didn't. Both of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, this might be running for worst movie of the year. At a 1 Nicole Kidman from both of us.
It wasn't good at all.
It's
competing with Rebel Moon then.
Yeah.
For worst movie.
Well, theatrical release wise, then it might be worse because Rebel Moon went straight to streaming.
Apparently, Rebel Moon's director's cut is better.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's not, but apparently it is. So
better to who?
The people who were fans of the non-director's cut.
Oh,
like the director's cut.
I'm glad y'all got 4 extra hours of movie.
So the same people who liked it
Liked it
again.
Congratulations.
So, consistency.
Well,
boom.
Right. Zack Snyder is, if anything, consistent.
He's consistent.
And we'll leave it at that.
We won't say anything else about him.
Nope, because y'all not about to bomb our channel with comments. So yeah, I'm going to suggest for this to just skip it. Watch Dungeons and Dragons instead.
Yeah, don't even stream this. Don't even get it on PVOD.
Don't give them any reason to think a sequel could come out of this,
movie,
y'all.
Yeah, let this movie disappear in obscurity.
We did y'all the favor. Just hit like, comment, or subscribe as a thank you, and we can just keep it going.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for our movie review for this week. What are we getting into next week? Although you typically say that, I'm asking you this time.
Next week, we are watching Alien Romulus.
Woo! I am very excited about this.
We're very excited.
I think we're both very excited.
Yeah, we got free IMAX upgrades from Comic-Con because we went to the panel to go see it. Not excited about the IMAX seats, but excited about the film.
Yes,
AMC IMAX seats suck.
We should wear our face huggers to the.
Are they gonna let us?
I don't know. They might be like, "Excuse me, ma'am, what is this foreign object on your body?" And I'll be like, "It's a face hugger."
Right.
I'm going to see aliens. They'll be like, "Please get out of line."
But excited about Alien Romulus.
Yeah.
They showed us. We talked about the scenes and the snippets they showed us.
I have not watched anything else that's been showing up because I'm officially in my no more mode.
They put out a sneak peek of one of the chase scenes I looked at, and I thought it was interesting. You don't really see the alien.
Oh, that's scary.
But you just it's the Isabella Merced chase scene.
Okay.
You don't really see the alien. You just follow Isabella Merced, and you kind of hear it moving around as she's trying to hide from it. Ooh. It reminds you of Alien Isolation, which is the video game that you've seen a snippet of. Oh. There's a lot of. It seems like it's going to have a lot of those scenes where it's going to be a lot of hiding as a xenomorph crawls down the hall or something.
I like this. My type of horror, y'all. Yeah. Just add a little sci-fi element. 100% there all the way.
Absolutely. So excited for that.
We are very excited. We're going to be seeing it a little early. So some are like, we ain't going to have all the stats and figures. But we're going to have our opinion. And that's what matters most.
Yep.
All right. So thanks for listening. If you like our show, please give it a share. You can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on our website, vaguelynerdypodcast.com. Where you can also leave us a nice voice message that we can play on the show. You can follow us on Twitter at VaguelyNerdyPod or IG at VaguelyNerdyPodcast. And you can reach us at VaguelyNerdyPodcast@gmail.com. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.